Welcome to the Southern African Endurance Series. My name is Kriya Ganga, and this time round we are bringing you SAE, the South African Endurance Series. It is going to be quite an interesting race. 6 hours split up into 2 3-hour races, and the action is about to begin here in Port Elizabeth at Aldous Raceway. I'm standing by with some of the drivers for our grid walk. First up, I think we got to chat to Fikile. Fikile, how's it going?
All good, ma'am. We're ready for today. We didn't have a good day yesterday. We couldn't practice. We had an issue with the vibration. We had to change the prop shaft, change tires, discs. So we're hoping that we're going to have a good race. We've got 6 hours ahead of us.
Yep.
And looking for fun.
You were able to take the car out a little bit earlier today. How's it feeling?
Yeah, we managed. Well, I only could do 3 laps until the red flag came up, and then my P went. And he said the car is good, but it does have a little bit of vibration, but it's manageable.
Okay, manageable. Yeah. So we're just going to try and push through for the rest of the day, right?
Yes, we've got 6 hours ahead of us, so we're going to make good use of it.
All right, cool. Well, best of luck.
Thanks, ma'am.
That is Fikile. And they had a little bit of a problem. I was chatting to him yesterday. A lot of vibrations coming through on the car, but managed to resolve most of those issues. Still feeling a little bit of vibrations, but hopefully that car will take it out to the end of the lap, or the end of the race, 6 hours. And I'm standing here with a new competitor. Craig, it is nice to see you on the track.
Thank you. Yes, we decided to come and play a bit with them. If not, why not?
And you've got a long history in racing. What attracted you to this series?
I think it's a camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know, it's serious racing, but it's also a bunch of friends who hasn't seen each other for a long time.
We're going to get run over. Let's move back a little bit.
I think it may be a bad idea. So it's a lot of guys who've been together for a long time, had a lot of fun together over the years, and it's a beautiful format.
Yeah.
Everybody out there having fun. We're riding cars with pretty old school, so traction controls your right foot.
Yeah.
You know, it's very different,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun.
All right, so what is your strategy for today? Being a new competitor to the series, what are you expecting? What are you going to try and get out of today?
Finish the race.
Yeah.
Simple.
Okay.
Keep the car on the black stuff.
Yep.
Don't be stupid. You know,
I mean, there's been a lot of grass mowing today in SAGT.
There has. Again, you don't win it in the first hour. You got to finish the last hour to be there. So it's a simple thing. Just keep the car nice, keep it together. Don't be too aggressive. Don't try and make it a sprint race. Don't get enticed to chase people, which is difficult. You know, after the second one that comes past you, you normally get that. Okay, we'll see about that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the big thing is just keep the car together and try and finish the race.
Yeah.
And then see who else finishes the race, and that's where it's going to work.
Awesome.
So.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for chatting to me, and best of luck. That is Craig Zank. He's a new competitor in SAE. We're now moving on. I'm going to see if I can get to Anand Patha and Mario D'Souza. I'm going to see if I can get Anand here. Anand's also a new competitor coming out for the first time with us today. Anand, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. How's the expectation for today? What brought you to SAE?
Well, I've been in motor racing a long time ago, maybe 2 decades ago.
Yep.
So this is a return after a long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's as much fun as before. It's a very different car to what I've been racing, but it's absolutely fun.
Being out of racing for a couple of years, it's exhilarating to be back in the car, but do you feel like it's a little bit rusty? Is it something different? Do you have to kind of like work in that muscle memory?
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit rusty. Sometimes the brain and the limbs don't work at the same speed that they used to. But yeah, after a few laps, you know, getting some track time, it all comes back into place.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it.
How's the car feeling?
Car's feeling great.
Ooh,
Yeah.
feeling great, feeling fabulous. Thank you so much, Ananta. I appreciate it. Nice to see some new drivers with us on the grid today. We're going to move down the track a little bit. We're going to go to Mackie. Let's see if I can get to Mackie. Mackie and Rudy Barnard are racing today. It's been very exciting for you guys because literally I've had so many people telling me it is amazing to see you guys on the grid.
Yeah, no, listen, what an opportunity we have, and thanks to Backdraft first of all, you know, for allowing us to be part of their team. Awesome team that they have, and everything is well prepped, so we're looking forward. Different mentality than what we are used to. We are sprint racers, so we said we need to dial back and think differently, and you know, the biggest aim for us is to finish. That's see the end of the race.
when it comes to sprint races, obviously your mindset is in get in there quick, get position. Now you have to play the long game. It's 6 hours that you guys are going to be on the track today.
Absolutely, it's a different mindset at all. Fortunately, we've been doing cycling, some stage racing, so that's it. The fast guys can go. You just keep your pace, what you can keep up, and hopefully they'll take us to the end and prayerfully get a good result.
Okay. Well, Rudy, I'm going to come in here and have a chat to you quickly. Something that I saw you do a little bit earlier, which for me was amazing. You walked down the grid and you literally said good luck to every single person you saw.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, this is about fun, and it's about family. And when you're here, this is your family, right?
Yeah.
So you have to look out for one another. And it's, there's a lot of camaraderie in this class, which makes it phenomenal. So you have to shake the guy's hand before and after. And that's the name of the game, right?
All right, cool. Well, Rudy, I hear they're going to clear us, but I'm going to see if I can move down the grid. Thank you for the chat. All right, so best of luck to that team. We've got 1 minute until we start racing. I know that my producer does want me to chat to somebody else. Doesn't seem like we're going to get there, but let's see if we can move down the track. There is a lot of news that I'm getting through. The polo that you're just hearing that the commentators are talking about in the background, that's Pather and Dungar and Bezuidenhout in that car. Unfortunately, that car is going to be starting from the pit lane. They had to change a whole engine, guys. That is how extreme it is here at South African Endurance Series. It's all the action that's going down here in PE at Aldo's Brunty Racetrack. I'm going to see if I can get to Paul Hill before he jumps into the car. Paul, a quick word as you're getting strapped up. It's really nice to see you on the track with a brand new car. Tell me a bit about it. Well, brand new car because we haven't seen it in SAE.
No, we've raced SAE before.
Okay.
But we've been out for 18 months.
Yep.
Surgery and all.
Yep.
But no, she's back. So.
She's back, and how's she running?
No, she's running smooth as usual. Clockwork. It's an Aston.
And it's great to have Michael Stephen in the car with you. I'm going to chat to him whilst you get kitted out there. Michael, what are we expecting from this race? You guys have been running some great times.
Yeah, so obviously 18 months out, we just want to get to the end. I think, with the endurance racing, it's all about, getting to the end without any trouble. Yep. So if you can do that and stay out of trouble, it's a 3-hour race. And
then 3 hours after that again.
Looking forward to both.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. I'm going to clear before I get run over. So cool. Yes, like you said, 18 months out. The first time that we're seeing that Aston Martin in this year. It's the first time that car is coming out. My producer is confirming that for me. So really nice to see Paul Hill on the track with that Aston Martin. His co-driver is Michael Stephen. And like I said, obviously, Dungar, Patamba, and Bezuidenhout starting from the pit lane after they replaced an engine super quickly today. So lots of drama happening already as we get started with SAE today. First 3 hours underway, then we have another 3 hours this afternoon. For myself, Kriya Gangia, I'm going to stand back and watch the race and cross over to Stephen and Ernest who are in studio.
Well, here we go. Thanks for that intro, Kriya, and thanks for that insightful grid walk. It's always great to sort of, I like the system where we're starting from the back of the grid because we get to chat to the guys before she runs out of time because the grid walk is so quick and we know about the guys in front. We know about Botmar Kruger. We know about Adcock Jensen, and now they're joined by Patamba. But it's awesome to see Zank at the back there. And he, of course, is very well known on the drag racing side of things. And it's also great to see guys like Pather as well, of course, Vice President of Toyota South Africa and former Group N driver, back behind the wheel. So it's really cool to chat to some of the names that we don't necessarily see, at least not at the front of the grid just yet. Some new names, some new faces. But Steve, this is playing out to be a big one. We've got 6 hours of racing ahead of us, and we also see a full grid today. A lot more cars than we've seen at some of our other races. So this is going to be exciting stuff.
It's going to be amazing, and also a big welcome to all the old drivers coming and rejoining. As you mentioned, one of our drivers coming from Group N, Andrew Horn, who only raced in round number 1, is now back, but in a completely different vehicle. He's joining up with Colin Ellison, who's unfortunately Christopher Radloff couldn't make it. He went and offered the seat to Andrew Horn. He said the only thing that you need to do, Andrew, is you've got to pay your way in. As Andrew paid his way and now is into a backdrop road.
Got nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, Stevie. And also we got Aranjis and Neveling as the flag waves for the warm-up lap. Aranjis and Neveling in that Lamborghini. They tested it earlier on today, and that is the old spec GT3 car, which is sold pretty quick. And then, of course, Hill and Stephen. And as Hill mentioned, he has gained much success in racing over the years, but we just haven't seen him, as Kriya mentioned, in the SAE. Of course, it wasn't called the SAE before exactly. It wasn't the SAES as it currently is. So, yes, he's done plenty endurance races, but this current season he is new, and he is, of course, joined once again with Michael Stephen, who was his teammate before in that very car. They got some good results before. I suspect they're going to be right in. They're currently sitting third on the grid.
That's completely correct. Michael Stephen, though, has been racing a lot. You've got to remember, he's done 3 heats over 2 days in that McLaren and had to fight it out. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it all turns out. But one person that I'm taking a look at, Quantum McKenna, I don't see him in the field. And he's actually leading the championship at the moment. Second to that is BBR Racing. Heinrich Lartigan is second in the championship.
Oh, there you
and
see
there we
him.
go.
If you
There's
look at
Quantum
BBR, you
McKenna.
can see the car. Yeah, that's it. And that BBR Porsche, there was talks of the old one being for sale and them upgrading that car. Now, I wonder if this is the newer spec car. I wonder if this is the older spec car. We'd like to hear from Kriya Gangi, if she can perhaps give us some insight. And just look at that car bringing up the back of the grid there. That looks like one of the Westbank V8s. Oh my goodness me. Ultimate Raceway car. That car looks very fresh. Of course, Rolf du Plessis behind the wheel of that car, if I'm not mistaken. And Rolf is no stranger to South African motorsport. I'm getting excited, Steve. I think some of the big boys have come to play today.
Oh, the gloves are off at this point, and I've got to say, bringing a V8 here that's actively racing in nationals, he decided he's going to race it in SAE, is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to see what that Chevy Lumina space frame is able to do. But right at the front, 2 Ligiers gonna duke it out. Let's see what's going to be faster. We know what Kruger and the team can do. We know what Nick Adcock can do. Now both of them side by side once again as they head to the line to get the green flag to start the 3 hours.
Here we go. We got Botma in the right-hand side. Botma Kruger car. Adcock Jensen. Oh, quickly a leapfrog there from the Botma Kruger car. Gets away. Adcock Jensen slots in second place. We've got the McLaughlin Clark car trying to sneak up there into third position. Hill gets slots into third. He gets it eventually, but the Botma Kruger car is going, gone. Adcock left in the dust there with a big gap. They got sleeping on the line there, or at least is that Botma Kruger jumping everybody over there. Off he goes in that very fast Ligier. Ligier 1-2 so far with Hill and the Stephen called Hill driving in third position. McLaughlin Clark in that backdraft slingshot in fourth position over there. Behind that we see looks like Lartigan Tavares. I'm trying to see who's in fourth position. Yeah, that's the Lamborghini of Aranjis Neveling. There goes Lartigan. There goes the Super Cup car of that is Franco and Van Niekerk over there. So the pack starting to separate quite early on, and it looks like the Botma Kruger car has got some serious pace underfoot. Only 0.3 of a second faster in qualifying, but so far much faster on the opening lap. And there the gap is in front of you, ladies and gentlemen.
Really starting to run away from it, but now it is up to Nick Adcock and the team to try and figure out what they can do to try and catch up to their fellow Ligier up ahead, and also try and break away from the grid. But we've got to remember, this is a 3-hour endurance race. This isn't a sprint race that's going to end in a couple of laps. You have to try and keep the car going, because you've got this race and another one. But taking a look at Hill, he's under a bit of pressure as the backdraft slingshot is right behind him, going and showing what it can do. And gotta say, GT3 Aston Martin, older spec, fair enough, getting chased down by a locally built backdraft roadster that's built down in Durban, maintained, and has been putting on a great show. So let's see how this is going to turn out. It's a battle of the V8s coming up.
I gotta stop you there. That ain't no ordinary roadster. That is the backdraft slingshot, about 450 horsepower, if I'm not mistaken. And he is giving it to the Calyx car over there. That is Paul Hill. Michael McLaughlin currently behind the wheel of that backdraft slingshot. Behind him, Arnold Arin Neveling. has a look and to see what's going on here in that GT3 Lamborghini. That's the Gallardo Lamborghini over there. Juana Maquena further down the field. Verissimo Tavares driving the Porsche across the line. Dani van Niekerk behind the wheel after his big accident in Cape Town a couple of weeks ago. Dani van Niekerk, nice to see them back on the grid. Roof to perceive behind that. Bardet Victorious in the mix. Rudy Barlet, Colin Edson, Ben Morgan Roof, and Painter make up the top 14 as the drivers make their way through. And although I said I would pace myself for this race, Steve, I'm getting a little bit excited here because things are going to be exciting over the course of the next couple of hours.
You went and said that you're going to pace yourself. You never said at how fast of a pace, because these guys are really showing what they can do. But Hill's starting to pull away, but it does look like the backdraft slingshot is definitely struggling. It's dropped way off the pack now and is getting chased down by that Lamborghini Gallardo and really putting in a huge amount of work to try and keep it, the road or the slingshot ahead. But it's also nice to see this weekend. We got to see the Hurricanes, two different versions of the Hurricane, and now we're getting to see the Gallardo back at work. But you got to remember, at one stage in GT3 history, you had this Aston Martin and the Gallardo duking it out in the SRO series. So it's fantastic to see these cars, which are older spec, and in my opinion, they look quite amazing compared to the newer counterparts. But nice to see them here putting on a fantastic show at Aldo Scribanti. But let's see how long they're going to last, because this is the main thing about endurance. How long can you last without having any issues with just getting to the end?
We've seen this race lost in the final stages. We've seen guys like Nian de Toy, an incredible racer from Cape Town, losing it in the last couple of minutes of a race. So that's exactly what we've come to see here today. Consistency is key. Poise, of course. And the drivers will need to hold their nerve as the Kalex car makes its way down the inside over there. I thought for a second it was ducking into the pit lane. But you talk about the looks of this Aston Martin over here, Steve. And that car is the classic sports car look. Long, swooping nose, big haunches, and the giant wing at the back. The Aston Martin has always been one of the most beautiful cars ever made. And this DB over here is just no different, and especially in GT3 trim. I mean, it is a sight to behold. Flat out now through the hanger sweep over there into the hard braking zone for the right-hander hairpin. And you can see Adcock and Botma in front. Now the gap between Adcock and Botma way down. Botma only with 0.4 of a second ahead of Adcock as they head into the first part of the race where the back markers will become a problem.
Nick Adcock going in, we haven't seen him for quite a bit, and actually it does look like he managed to get by just in that shot there. Waiting for them to get a camera to the front, but I think that Nick Adcock, yes he has, he's gotten in front of Rian Borthma. So Nick Adcock going and pulling the pin, giving Borthma a run for his money, got past, but Borthma's trying to go and battle him out. But Paul Hill is not hanging around in that Aston Martin. He's trying to catch the lighter Ligiers. He might have more power than them, but power to weight ratio comes into play, and Ligiers are very light cars with a substantial amount of power underneath them.
Jeez, I mean, that Ligier is just incredible, and already things have swapped around with Adcock now currently in the lead of this race, and there goes another back marker, and the Kalex car quickly dispatches of him. And this is what endurance racing is all about. It's about trying to thread the needle, as they say, and someone that's very good at threading that needle is Adcock. They've had some reliability issues with that engine, but Uncle Jesse and the guys from Cape Town are working on those cars. And speaking of Cape Town, we've got the Speed Shop boys in Cape Town watching the racing all the way from Cape Town. And for those of you guys out there watching from anywhere in South Africa, please, I hope you guys enjoy the racing. We've got a good couple of hours of good racing in front of us. And of course, for those of you that are in Port Elizabeth, unlike me, I hope you guys are enjoying the show. There's plenty action. Good luck on stage, as well as Jesse Clay. But for now, it's back to the racing. There you see Adcock on your screen. You can tell the difference between the number 3 and the 78 car. They're almost identical spec, but the color is a lot brighter on the Nick Adcock car. And Botma with the black one over there. And they changed the livery recently, if you remember, Steve. God, does look good in the flesh, though, I've got to say.
It's definitely a good-looking car, but they're both sporting the same engine, that Honda K20A 2-litre 4-cylinder, but pushing up 255 horsepower. And this is where we've seen the Hondas like grenade motors, if I can put it that way. They either work fantastically, or they give up the ghost, or not the motor, but the alternator in the case of Rian Butner and Jeffrey Kruger. We go back to the last race, where they were actually physically taking the batteries out of their road-going cars to get the cars running.
Yeah, that was a funny thing to hear. We thought that was the case. I think you might have alluded to it at some stage, that the guys, could they be swapping batteries? And we jokingly said that, but then we found that actually was the case. Pull the car in, swap the battery, charge the battery, and off he goes again. Hopefully those alternator woes are behind them, and it was a simple thing of a loose earth cable. As we see the McLaughlin Clark car threading its way past, and so is the Ari Neveling and Naranji's car as well. That looks like the blue and white backdrop, so that could be the Morgan routes over there. As here comes your championship leader, Kwanda Mokoena, in the GT4 Audi, and hopefully he's able to pick up the pace. They've been a little bit down on pace by the looks of things at this stage, but that car's never been the fastest one when it came to the SAES. If you remember, Steve, it's always been incredibly consistent and able to go for long distances without the fuel stop. So this is their plan, to continually do the lap times that they need to do. But now we see a lot more GT3 cars. In fact, 2 more GT3 cars on the grid, Steve. We saw the GT3 car of course, Sun Mootley doing an hour in Port Elizabeth a couple months ago. But this time now we got GT3 cars that will be running right through to the... What do you think would be the difference between a GT3 and a GT4 car on a race of competition like this one?
So the GT4 cars are built for more of a gentleman driver. So they got a little bit less horsepower. They're not so aerodynamic in terms of their GT3 counterparts. But that's what's made them so special, because they are a lot more forgiving, which means you can work on your coasting a little bit more. They've got a bit more weight to them, so it means you can come off the power, let the weight throw you into the corner. That saves a bit of fuel. The GT4s, I feel, are built more in line for endurance racing and gentleman driver endurance racing versus the outright sprint race. And that's why the Audi R8 GT4 has done very, very well. It's why the Porsche Cayenne has done very well, and now the build-up has been the Mercedes has been slowly going and changing things up in the world of GT4 racing. I actually prefer the look of this GT4 to its GT3 counterpart.
Oh, this car is absolutely stunning. And of course, Kwanda Mokoena, joined by the legend in South African motorsport, Chop Sapuka, multiple champion, national champion. And there in the background, you see another championship family, the Morgan Root family today. Ben Morgan Root cut behind the wheel, and they are battling it out in Class E. Class A, your leader is Adcock, Rian Botma in second place, McLaughlin over there in Class C, and then Ari Neveling currently behind the wheel, also in Class A. Kwanda Mokoena in Class C, and then we got Dani van Niekerk in Class D. Baden Prius, though, leads off Class E, and these two cars have incredible luck and incredible bad luck. Interesting to see luck will turn out today. Baden Pretorius in 10th place overall, but first in Colin in the 007 car, they're in second place. Colin currently the owner, at least the lead driver in that team, so he's driving that car at the moment. Rudy Barnard in just behind that in third place in E. Ben Morgan in fourth place in E. Anand Paitha in fifth place in Class E, so he's looking good out there, followed by Zank and Holomisa. I see the Dango, Patamba and Besaidano car hasn't turned a lap yet. So that is a big problem. Now, that's Andre Besaidano, if I'm not mistaken, partnered by Dango and Patamba. I was looking forward to see what Patamba can do. Patamba spent more time in the DTM trophy of late and slowly but surely creeping his way up the order in that series. So I was hoping to see how we would perform back here in South Africa, but unfortunately that is not to be, at least not in this stage, as the rest of the field makes their way through. And there is your GT4 competitor, Kwanda Mokoena, currently second in Class C.
Well, taking a look at the championship, Kwanda Mokoena is leading the championship with 138 points, but BBR Racing is in second place with 136 points, so not much point difference between it. Chop Sapuka, as we've spoken about, he's with Into Africa and also joins up with Kwanda Mokoena. Then first of the Class E's is the Titan Historic F1, Colin Ellison. He's actually joined with Andrew Horn this weekend, not Christopher Radloff, he has been racing with, but second in the Class E's is the Morgan route. So I think let's keep an eye on those two because Colin Ellison has got 126 points while the Morgan routes are sitting on 121. 5 points difference that can make or break the championship. Oh, there's that looks to be, is that Nick Adcock's Ligier that was going slow there? Was that
my
Rian
goodness
Botma?
me. Oh my goodness me. That looks like the Adcock car over there because the Adcock one, as mentioned, is one of the brighter colors. So it's a bit more easier to identify. Let's see if our camera crew can get a little bit closer over there. I think that's Adcock, and that will not be good for him. That will not be good for. Yes, it is Adcock. Oh my goodness me. The race has just started, and all of a sudden, that's the Nick Adcock car. Unfortunately, circulating very slowly. He's close to the pits though, so he will duck into the pits now. But this puts Adcock in Class A all the way down after leading the race. What an incredible turn of events, and this is the kind of stuff you see in endurance racing, as that looks like Ruth du Plessis now slots into 6th place. Gets past Adcock. Adcock ducks into the pits, and he is not going to be happy about this. Oh, very close to the wall there, Adcock, as the team watches on. Oh my goodness me, this is not looking good. The team from Cape Town, of course, led by some of the Cape Town boys. That is Jesse Huggett in that team as well, test driver and the mechanic on that car. And they're looking at this car, wondering to themselves, what the heck is going on now? Because they're going to work on the car, they have to push the car into the garage. Of course, endurance racing rules dictate that. So drivers aren't allowed to work on the car when in the pit lane. Obviously, quite dangerous, spilling oil, etc. So the car now goes into the garage, and that is not a good sign. But it is a good sign for Rian Botma, who is currently in 2nd place, and Paul Hill has assumed the lead of this race, Steve.
So Paul Hill now standing on the gas and getting away from Ligier. And that's a bit of a change up there because we've so far seen the Kruger car. When it works, it is undefeatable. But it looks like when you start incorporating an Aston Martin into it, Paul Hill is really showing what he can do. And I've got to say, I've been very impressed with Paul Hill. You know, he's come from racing Polos, he's come from racing BMWs, he got into the Aston Martin, he raced it against other cars similar to his class many years ago, and decided, no, he's done with his BM, he's going to jump into this car and focus on it, and jumping with Michael Stephen, but both of them with a combined experience has been really, you know, really doing well this weekend. But we cannot count out, Botma and Kruger have shown pace all season. They have everything to play for, and at the moment, with Nick Adcock gone, they have a chance to just get points and try and climb their way back up, especially after a little bit of a rough time, putting them all the way down in 7th in the championship.
Rian Botma now in 2nd place, having to thread past the backdraft car over there. That looks like, once again, the 222 car. And there goes Olamisa just ahead in that backdraft. And there goes your leader, Paul Hill, crosses the line with a time of 101. Rian Botma with a time of 102. So Botma slightly slower, and Paul Hill fast and consistent at this stage, leading this race in that Aston Martin GT3 car. And with this kind of pace, I would imagine that GT3 car can just circulate like this all day. 101s, we saw earlier on the fastest GT3 time was a 58 second. So if you're running 1 or 2 seconds slower than the ultimate pace of the car, you should be fine around with a car like that. That car is designed for thousands and thousands of kilometers. But Botma certainly hoping to leapfrog that car later on as we cut to the backdraft battle. There goes Colin Ellison. Here comes Mackie Adlam. Oh, sorry, not Mackie Adlam, that is Ruth du Plessis. And behind him is Verissimo Tavares. Dani van Niekerk also coming through as well in the 69 Super Cup Polo. As mentioned, a massive shunt by Dani van Niekerk in the Super Cup Series down in Cape Town into the wall at 200 plus kilometers an hour. That car looked written off, but they sorted it out in no time, and they are back here as their V8 getting a little bit in the way of. Oh, look at this! Oh, that is a slow going. That is, oh my goodness, that is the other Ligier over there. So both Ligiers now going into the pits early on. This is not looking good for the two favorites for this race. Stephen, what the heck is going on here? This is not the first time we've seen this. The two favorites now seemingly having problems with their cars.
As I said, the Ligiers at this point seem to be grenade motors. They either work or they let go. And that's what's made it so difficult to... I feel for the teams, and I know they're going to be frantically working on the cars. You can see trying to push. That car just never had enough steam to even get back to its pit. So the guys are having to do a very, very long push. And, even though the Ligier weighs 570 kilograms, pushing it when it's just a dead piece of metal, it feels like 2 tons.
Yeah, no, exactly. And these guys wanting to get this over and done with, get that car going as quickly as possible. And here comes the leader of the race, Paul Hill, in Class B, no less, getting up behind that West Bank V8 car of Roof du Plessis, currently 1 lap down. And in front of him is Verissimo Tavares. They've got a little battle of their own going on at the moment, the two of them. So that is for position. Those two cars that you see there, the V8 and the Porsche. And that Porsche in contention for the win last time. So don't count them out just yet. It's still early days. And there goes the backdraft cars as well in Class E. The Class E battle is going to be the one to watch later on once the dust settles on the lead cars. We'll cut back to the Class E guys, but this is for position between that Porsche and that V8. And there comes the leader now. Oh, he hasn't looked on the inside. The nose gets cut off. They've got a battle going on of their own, and the V8 gets past the Porsche. And here comes Paul Hill almost getting the nose cut off by that V8. And just look at how evenly matched they are. The Porsche seemingly has some legs on the straight. I'd love to find out from Tavares and the team. Oh, it finally lets the door open there. If that is the same GT3 Porsche, we know the previous one was for sale. So I'd love to know if they upgraded it. The plan was to upgrade to a later spec. The car does look very different though, but I'm not quite sure if it's the same one or if it's the different one that's been upgraded.
Is that could it be the 992 that was originally... There was a 991 that was racing earlier in the season. That got changed to a 992. So there quite possibly might be the 992 Cup car, but just put into Enduro spec. In other words, 992 Cup car, the difference between the 992 Enduro spec and the Cup spec is the Enduro spec has ABS and it has traction control built in and it's usable. The Cup car has the ABS and the traction control removed. So it'll be very interesting to find out if that is the 992, because then that is the current running Cup car that is being used, and we're going to see what it can do against one of our local space frames, the Chevy Lumina V8, formerly known as it used to be the West Bank V8, that then has changed over time. They went through a bit of a down patch where there was, no, that's it. It's
like
a stunning. I think that's a 992.
Oh my god,
that
that's
looks like
a beautiful
992
car right there. Looks like the new spec car. It's got the swan neck spoiler at the back. Oh my goodness me, that is a good looking car. And he is carving his way through there. Goes past one of the backdraft cars. That's Pather over there in the 33 car. And he makes his way past, of course, the Class E guys in a battle of their own. So Barend Pretoria is currently leading the Class E guys in the 262. And there goes Barend over there on lap 17. But Pather is 1 lap down, and this is for track position over there between Rolf du Plessis and Verissimo Tavares. Rolf du Plessis in the V8 over there, Tavares in Class A. I don't see the classification for Rolf, so I've got to find out what class he is in, but it's still for track position, so the racing will be fierce. And we saw Tavares with some solid pace the last time, and of course, Tavares partnered by a legend in South African motorsport that continues to, whose family continues to fly the flag. That, of course, is the older of the Latagan family behind the wheel. Last time he was joined by his son, who races for Toyota in the Dakar, and of course, South African Off-Road Series. Now the Latagan family finds themselves winning ways in the SAES behind the wheel of that incredible looking Porsche 911 over there. Wow.
Now that 992 really showing what it can do, but it's just fantastic to see lots of new cars starting to come to the SAE. Endurance racing getting a bit of love. I know a lot of people wonder, how to get involved and do you need to have super big machinery and all that? Take a look at the backdraft roadsters. They're affordable ways to go racing, and it's all, there's quite a lot of restrictions. You can't modify the things you can create. You can put an oil cooler, you could put a power steering cooler, and that's about that. As per the SRs, you can't do anything more to it, and that just makes it such close racing. You can spend a bit more money. You can get the Ligier, you could get the Porsche. Heck, you can even go and grab yourself a Polo if you want and come race it with SAE. And it's nice to see how much it's grown to have 16 cars, 16 cars on the grid for this 3 hour, and really have a huge amount of fun here at Aldo Scribanti. Personally, I can't wait to see how this all turns out, because it is a 3 hour race. We can't start speculating who's going to win, because we started with take a look at Adcock and Botma, but both Ligier is now in the pit. So commentators curse. Apologize, guys. That's our bad.
I'm not apologizing for anything. I'm not apologizing for anything. Having said that, though, we do see the V8 slowing down in the background there. That is Ruth Duplessis in the 71 car slowing down ever so slightly. So he's fallen back a little bit. But look at the lead there, Steve-O. Paul Hill still in the lead, but Arnold Neveling, Ari Neveling, in the 86 Lamborghini catching up big time. 1.6 seconds the gap now. So watch that gap. Mike McLaughlin slipped back a little bit. Kwanda Makwena's starting to catch up ever so slightly as well. So Kwanda's still in the mix there on the lead lap. But Paul Hill is now starting to get pressure from Arnold Neveling. And I think that pressure is going to mount very, very soon. I think we should cut to that action pretty soon, because that's where the racing action is going to be happening in the next couple of moments.
It's going to be close. These guys were able to do sub 1 minute. Now they're doing about 1 minute, just nibble pace. But Kwanda Makena having to go a little bit elbows out, getting past one of the backdraft roadsters. He's really trying to do everything he can in that Audi R8 GT4 LMS. And there's Paul Hill going past one of our Super Cup cars.
Yeah, that's Danny van Niekerk over there. Oh, getting boxed in. This is not going to be good for him. Danny van Niekerk trying to get out the way there. Here comes Neveling now. And this is not going to be good for Paul Hill. Now he's going to contend with Neveling in that Lamborghini. And Ari will be chasing hard down through the tight left-hander over here, feeling those G's. The car squishes down on those tires, coming through the sweep 9 into the final right-hander before they cross the finish line. The gap now down to a negligible amount. You can see him in front of him. Let's see what that gap is. It was just moments ago 1.7 seconds, and now they cross the finish line. I think Paul Hill got slowed down there quite a lot. The gap now 1.1 seconds.
I don't know if you noticed before the final corner, the second last corner, how deep Paul Hill goes into the corner before he turns. So just really trying to slow that car down as much as possible, braking a little bit later than I think that car is comfortable with, and it is costing him a bit of time. Or maybe he's trying to get a little bit more, straighten out the corner a little bit more. Either way, he's going to have that raging bull, that V10 hunting him down and going to be screaming in his ears. And let's see whether the Aston Martin, once again, braking late and going out wide. I think he's starting to feel the pressure, watching those mirrors a little bit more, and that is allowing Neveling to get closer and closer with the Lamborghini and just start mounting that pressure even more.
Yeah, it's all about pressure, Steve. It's all about applying that pressure and making sure that the person that you have in your sights is feeling the pressure. They cross the line one more time now, and the gap, as we said earlier on, was 1.1 seconds. It's 1.0 seconds. A tenth of a second of a lap doesn't sound like much, but if you got 6 hours of racing in total, then a tenth of a second ain't so bad. So they've still got about 2.5 hours of this race left, and then they're going to do another 3 hour race after that. And I think that this is going to be slowly but surely enough to get Arnold Neveling within striking distance. But Paul Hill, no stranger to this type of racing, no stranger to that Aston Martin. Of course, he says it runs like clockwork, and at the moment, that's exactly what it's doing. Mike McLaughlin in third place, Kwanda Makena in fourth. The battle between McLaughlin and Makena is the battle for first place in Class C. So expect the two of them to be going at it very, very shortly indeed. But the gap, 25 seconds behind McLaughlin to Makena. So let's keep an eye on that gap, and hopefully that will unfold and get tighter as the time goes on, so we can see the two of them trying to figure out who's the quickest on the circuit.
I just saw in that last shot, and maybe the heat's gotten to me, but there's a Ligier that's just come out and is on the just exited the final corner. So one of the Ligiers were able to get up and get going once again.
That's Botma once again.
So Butma going to have a bit of fun out there, and he's going to have to push incredibly hard, down in 15th place, and now having to charge his way back up through the grid. As we both know, Ernest, in these situations where you are the quicker car and you have to try and climb your way past all the other cars which are a little bit slower, and you could see just the closing speed into the backdrafts, he's having to work incredibly hard and hoping that the guys see him. At the same time, you don't want to push too hard, start hurting those tires, start going and using up too much fuel, and start affecting the strategy even more than what's already been done.
Well, the thing is, we saw at the first race of the season, we saw that these guys were way faster in the Ligiers. There weren't that many cars that could compete with the Ligier other than another Ligier. But this time, though, we see Adcock and Botma doing about the 1 minute mark. But look at the leader, Paul Hill, with the best time of 1 minute. Arnold Neerveling with the best time of 1 minute. Mike McLaughlin with a 1:01. I feel like they found a little bit of extra pace in that Mike McLaughlin-Clark car over there. Kwanda Makwena with a 1:03 and Rolf du Plessis with the best of 1:02. So you've got a whole bunch more cars now, all capable of taking the win. Rolf du Plessis, though, unfortunately down on pace at the moment, running a 1:06 on his previous lap. So I think there's something going on there as the 42 car of Rudy Barnard gets overtaken by that Rian Botma car, who's trying to work his way back from lap number 21 onto the lead lap of 27. And he's still got a long way to go, as he's now currently sat in 15th position after leading this race early on.
Well, for anyone that is taking a look, they've got on their phones or on their tablets, go and look on Facebook, SAES. Go and look it up, and you'll see a beautiful shot. There's Rolf du Plessis pulling into the pits by the looks of it. Going very slow, so he's just trying to get himself there. That Chevy Lumina does not look like a happy in terms of pace. But go to take a look. There's from that slingshot, and nothing looks more aggressive than that car. It is amazing, but it's really, it just looks like a V8's meant to. Big, mean, and energetic.
I do quite like the proportions of that anybody that like apparently the chassis is a modified version of the Cobra and done by Backdraft themselves. They call it Slingshot, and it's got unlike the Roadster, there we go, it's got quite a bit more power. And is that Swan Neck spoiler new on that car? I think so. I'm not sure that's one.
That looks like a recent addition by the looks of it, because it's we usually see a little straight, so they've been doing a bit more tinkering on the car by the looks of it, and you could just see by the front of it a new bonnet has been fitted to it as well. But there's a beautiful shot, the Slingshot, which has been the project car of Tony Martin, Mike McLaughlin, Steve Clark, and next to another Backdraft Roadster, which is one that the customers can go and drive, which we see like Colin Ellison, Morgan Roots, and more going and driving it. It's absolutely amazing to see it. As you pointed out, it is a bit longer, it is a bit wider, it's a little bit more powerful, but it is actually it's one of two. The sister car they're trying to get a little bit more horsepower out of.
I think this car has been definitely tweaked and fettled with over the last couple of months, because it is running some really solid times at the moment, with a 1:03 currently the last time, but the best time of 1:01. So Fikile Holomisa doing his fastest time there of 1:15. So Fikile started to find some pace now. They had some issues with that car yesterday, having to change a whole bunch of parts, so no practice for Fikile Holomisa in that number 11 Backdraft. But a car that has got plenty pace underfoot is this one on screen now, the Class C. Mike McLaughlin driven car, 1:03 the last time over there, as Colin Ellison makes his way across the line. Rudy Barnard there behind the wheel, sorry, that's Rudy Barnard crossing the line. And this looks like, that's Dani van Niekerk across the line there in the Super Cup car. Glad to see him back on circuit after an incredibly terrible incident down in Cape Town. So, and here comes Tavares now, still behind the wheel of the Porsche. So no major changes of drivers just yet. We still see the V8 there in the pits, but the drivers have not swapped out yet. So no pit stops as yet, Steve-O. We're still waiting for that to take place.
And that's where the strategy comes in, is when are you going to do it? How far are you willing to push it? And when is the competition going to start? Because as we saw with the SAGT, it just takes one person to start. Then everyone starts getting reactive. You're trying to react to that pit stop. They're trying to see, maybe since you pitted, I'm going to pit the next lap. And it just builds on. So I wonder if we're going to start seeing that a little bit later on. I think roughly it's a 3-hour race. I think about 1 hour 20 minutes. But we've got Kriya down in the pits, who's going to give us a bit of insight from the side of the circuit.
So, yeah, Kriya, over to you. She is in the Scribante VIP tent, no less. I wonder what that's like. Kriya, what exactly are you doing over there?
So I've just popped out to see what some of the fans are doing around the track, and I'm sitting here in the Scribante VIP area. I feel very special.
How's it going?
You do as well?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Tell me, you went around the track a little bit earlier in an aerial atom, right?
Yes.
How was that experience?
No, it was great. I've never been out on the track before. It was a really good experience. I'm a fan of the sport, as you say, so it's just a good day overall.
All right. And how's the racing been so far?
The racing's been good. Scribante definitely showed up today, and that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm all about. But I mean, we're in a different series now, so we're going to see how it goes.
Cool. And how's this series been? Because obviously it just kind of started, but it's really nice to have 6 hours of racing, right?
No, of course, I know some of the cars that are out on the track. The three front boys are definitely performing, and it's always an exciting corner that we are on right now, so we'll see what happens.
All right, all the action. Let me move on. Thanks for the chat, man. All right, let's go see who we have over here. How's it going? I'm coming to sit and join you. You also went out on the track early in the area atom, didn't you? No? Not too scared?
Yeah, much too scared. Yeah, no, that thing is fast. But yeah, having a good time in the hospitality, that's for sure.
All right, cool. And how's the racing been so far?
Oh, very good. Very obviously there's different classes and different cars, so it's very entertaining when the fast cars are definitely coming fast. And it's really good to see some supercars in Port Elizabeth, that's for sure, you know.
And even better, they come with a concert right afterwards.
100%. We're going to be here for a long time.
We're here for a long time and a good time. Going back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, it looks like it's a whole lot of fun out there, folks. It's a whole lot of fun, but the fun continues on the circuit as the Aston Martin flashes its way through. And the Aston Martin still currently in the lead, but he's got Arnold Neveling chasing him down, so no wonder the lights are flashing. But we had some passenger rides early on, and one of those gentlemen out there went in the aerial atom, which I've personally been in, and just, wow, that thing is just so stupid fast. It's the perfect car for a passenger ride, actually.
Okay, I'm not going to talk to you because you went and jumped in 2 of my favorite cars now. Thank you very much, Ernest. No, the aerial atom, absolutely insane. And, you know, we don't get to see a lot of them here in SA, but with the SAES, the SAGT, we thought to go and bring in something new, something more exciting. Last time out was actually, I think it was a Ferrari that we had, that the guys going to have a drive in. Ooh. And it looks like Hill's actually slowing down.
Yeah, Hill's fallen back there a little bit. It looks like a missed gear or something, which is quite uncharacteristic for a car like that. But he was right up behind the Tavares Porsche, and then Tavares did not yield. And this has now bunched things up completely. Arnold Neveling now very much more within striking distance. The gap was quite substantial earlier on. It was 2.3 seconds. It's now 0.8 seconds. And here comes Arnold Neveling now. And Tavares still not getting out the way. Eventually he does. But Arnold Neveling now has to deal with the same amount of traffic through the first set of S's over here. So it's balanced out in the end still.
I think by sheer luck at this point, because it looked like Neveling had the run, but if there was another 4 meters left on that straight, he would have been right to the back of this Aston Martin. Thankfully, there was the first corner that could put the 2 cars there, but you can see he's going quite wide into it. But Neveling, who's been on an absolute charge, we saw him in the Audi R8 GT3 LMS Evo earlier. Now we're going to see what he can do in the Lamborghini Gallardo. Going and changing out from an Audi to a Lambo. Not too different though, considering Audi and Lambo work together very, very closely in their racing division, and they've actually built some very interesting things. I mean, we also got to see these cars. Interesting thing is, look at the steering wheel. Both the Lambo and the Audi have the same steering wheel, but they've also got the same slight bends on it to ensure that you don't get as much wrist fatigue, where the Aston Martin is more old school, straight metal, deal with it.
Yeah. Real men race Aston Martins. I'm sure Paul Hill will say the same thing to us as he carves his way in a Class B car, no less, into the lead of this race with 3.1 seconds in hand. And here comes Arnold Neveling now in the Lamborghini, the Patriot Racing Lamborghini Gallardo. And the car just looks fantastic. Even the older spec one. It's a lot smaller though than we remember it. If you think compared to the Huracan, it looks a lot smaller, doesn't it?
The last time I saw a Gallardo was many years ago. Yeah, not with the SAGT or the SAES, but many years ago I saw one, and the closest I've ever been to touching one was a Hot Wheels car. So it's a lot bigger than that. But you can see how aerodynamics have changed. The guys have developed the cars a little bit more, changing the bodywork to get a little bit more pressure on the nose to help it turn in a little bit better. Because the previous iteration, the Gallardos, the guys used to say it understeered a fair amount over long distances. They had the problem during the Mans where they used to race these cars. And unfortunately, that was a lot of the front-end tire wear. So the Huracan came out with new bodywork to try and get rid of that front-end tire wear. So it's actually fantastic to see a different generation car out on the circuit. And yeah, I mean, we've got the Aston Martin, we've got the Garda. They used to battle each other way back when they were in their former glories. Now we're getting to see them back on the circuit again, slugging it out. And we can actually talk about how the evolution of aerodynamics has changed, and not over too many years, from 2015 to 2020.
Yeah, you can see it. I mean, look at the barge board on the back of that car compared to the newer spec cars. It's completely a flat, plain surface. Just a giant airfoil wing as the... I mean, it's not very sophisticated looking when you compare it to the newer spec cars with the swan neck, as mentioned earlier, on technology, and so many other things going into the wind tunnel development of the new spec wings. So this one definitely one of the older generations, and of course cutting edge at the time. But the times have moved on, but it doesn't seem to affect Paul Hill too much. Even in an older spec car, Paul Hill still leads this race now with quite a comfortable margin. He's picked up the gap there on Arnold Neveling. And the lap times, although quite similar, the gap is now 5 seconds. So thanks to some backmarker intervention, he's managed to squeeze a 5-second lead out. Paul Hill is proving to be quite a cool cat at this stage, Steve.
Wait till we see Michael Stephen climb in the car. We saw what he could do with a McLaren. Now I'm excited to see what he can do in the Aston Martin. Going from a mid-engine monster all the way into a sophisticated, shaken, not stirred Aston Martin is going to be absolutely madness. But now these two are watching each other. The Neveling and Hill, they are communicating to the pit saying, listen, when are we going to look at pitting? When are we going to look at going and getting our stuff sorted out? Because they are so close to one another. It takes one misstep. It takes a nut runner just to not sit on the wheel properly. It takes just the fuel refueling to just be a little bit too slow, and woof, your lead's gone.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it. The gap now 3.5 seconds. Let's see what it looks like. And you're right, Steve, the lines that the Calyx car has taken is quite different to what we've seen for the rest of the day. It runs across the apex over there, turns the car around, rotates it, the V line, as they say. The gap was about 4 seconds earlier and it's back down to 3.1. So Arnold Neveling is got some pace in hand here over Paul Hill, but he's just not able to get close enough. Further down the line, we've got Gordon Pretorius leading Class E, followed by Rudy Barnard in second place in Class E. Ben Morgan currently in third place in Class E, and the eyes now fixed firmly on the leader as he gets past one of the backdraft cars over there. But the leader of this race, Paul Hill, in that Audi, at least that Aston Martin over there, the Canex car, with a comfortable 3.1 second, well, I use the term comfortable quite loosely, with a 3.1 second lead over Arnold, Neverland and the Rajis.
You cannot confuse an Aston Martin and an Audi. Aston Martin was the hero. The Audis were usually the villains in the Bond films. Come now. But also take a look at our Chevy Lumina back out there and just going and making his way around. Also now looking very slow once again. So something has gone on with that car.
Very slow. Yeah, we suspect something is the matter with that car. I was hoping it wasn't going to duck into the pits there. But yes, very, very slow at this stage. And that unfortunately not ideal at all over there for that V8. And I'm quite interested to know if those V8s are suited for this type of racing. As Vicky Lolomisa gets overtaken by the leader there. Do you think those cars are suited for those racing, those big clunky gearboxes? The engine certainly might be, but the sprint races that they're used to, nothing quite like 2-3 hour races though.
The cars, well, it's a space frame, so it's a light vehicle. It's much like what your Nashes and your Ligiers, they are all type of space frames, but it's coming from built up for sprint racing. So what they could have done maybe is to detune the motor and just try and preserve some life into it, but they built to go for a sprint race. They're built to do 22 laps max and really duke it out. So to see it in an endurance race, as much as it's fantastic, it must be a bit of a mission to drive around, and it seems like the reliability factor is coming into play with it. Unfortunately, lots of gremlins can creep up, and as we've seen previously, where cars that are built for sprint racing compared to an endurance car, they rev high, they go like mad, but they built to last 10-15 laps. They're not built to last 3 hours.
Exactly. Kishore Patamba is out on track at the moment, and this is now them completing just 2 laps. So I'd like to go cut to that if we can in the number 17 car. Kishore Patamba in the 17 car. It's good to see that they are out there on circuit after having not started the race. Adcock is still still in the pits, so Adcock all the way down. So there's a serious problem there with that car. Colin Ellison also quite a far way down the order. Roof to the sea as well. So a couple of drivers getting left in the dust a little bit because of some technical issues. But I'd love to find out what is happening with those guys. I think that's Kishore Patamba in front there. We can just get eyes on that car. That would be great. That is him. I think 2 cars ahead of our leader over here. And there goes, it looks like Colin Ellison in the 007 car up ahead. Yes, that is him. And Kishore Patamba, there goes Kishore Patamba now behind and very slowly circulating around the circuit. Not quite the pace that they were hoping for, I'm sure.
No, not at all. But I can see our Chevy Lumina is in the pits as well. So we've got Kriya, who's got a little bit more information. Hopefully she can give us a little bit more of what's happening down in the pits.
Yes, guys, I am standing here with Jeffrey Kruger. Jeffrey, you guys have come in. What is happening?
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be getting quite hot. So it's breathing out a lot of water at the moment, so we're not sure why. But yeah, hopefully the guys can get it sorted and we can maybe salvage the rest of the race. If not, otherwise we'll try and get it ready for the second half of the race. So yeah, we're still in positive spirits. It's a bit of a glitch, but hopefully we can get it back running.
None of the gremlins are creeping up from East London, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't seem to be the same issue as there. So this is a new one, so I'm sure we'll be able to solve it quickly and then we'll be out in a flash.
So holding thumb, guys. Hopefully we can get this sorted and they'll get out soon.
Awesome, thank you.
Back to you guys in the studio.
Good to see a smile on Jeffrey Kruger's face. And there goes Donnie van Niekerk now. And Jeffrey Kruger also getting involved in that incident with Donnie van Niekerk down in Cape Town as the 262 car by the Pretorians. There goes your leader in Class E. Baron Pretorius, the leader overall gets past Dani van Niekerk that time. But Jeffrey Kruger also involved in that Dani van Niekerk incident in Cape Town. So both of them in good spirits, both of them racing again. And that's the name of the game. You dust yourself off, you pick yourself back up, and off you go back to the races. So good to see them both back in action today. But back to the leader of Class E. That is Baron Pretorius in Class E, leading currently by about 17 seconds over Rudy Barnard. And he will be exceptionally happy with that car. The Pretorius family quite busy in the pit lane usually, and that involves uncles, friends, and all of the family to try and get this car across the finish line. So a win for them would be a welcome addition to the trophy cabinet here in the Port Elizabeth leg of the South African Endurance Series. Of course, 2 races taking place today, split into 2. So this is the first of 2 3-hour races, and we are 47 minutes in to the first part of this endurance race. So far, that is your lead car in Class E.
Team Pasty Racing, that's the Pretorius car that is on the screen, lying in 8th in the championship. And as you said, you know, it's a welcome to have something go right with the car. They worked frantically with it, and as you point out, it's a family endeavor, and it's always been like that. Throughout the years that the Pretorius family has been racing, it's always been about the family and how they can get things across the line, you know, working together, which is always fantastic to see. It's not just I've got a team, I've bought a team. It is a family that is just true petrol heads, having a huge amount of fun. And also, some of the nicest people you're going to meet in the pits. They'll walk around, have a chat, and well, if you do cause a little bit of problems, you're going to have Mr. Pretorius walk up and guide you in the right direction, if I may put it like that.
Well, speaking of guiding in the right direction, the Pretorius family came up to me and gave us the lay of the land for Red Star Raceway. We had an interesting chat about the layout of Red Star Raceway, but what is also interesting is that Mike McLaughlin has assumed 2nd position in the slingshot. Arnold Neveling in the 86 car slipped down to 3rd place, so Paul Hill still leads us off. But he now has some respite from Mike McLaughlin with Arnold Neveling in 3rd place. Kriya back in the pits with a lot more info. Kriya, what's going on down there where you are?
I am standing with Mikhail, and I'm chatting about the Legers that are currently in the garage. This particular one is yours, unfortunately. What is going on?
We started off pretty well, and it seems like the car picked up a fuel problem. Okay. So we're trying to fix it. Hopefully we can get out as soon as possible.
Okay. Is it quite a serious thing? Are we going to see you maybe skip the rest of this round and then move to try and fix it before the next 3 hours?
That's what we're hoping to do. Hopefully you can get it out in time for this round before it finishes, so you can test it for the next one.
So it's all strategy and hoping that the guys get it out.
Yeah, we're crossing fingers and toes. Hopefully it works.
Shame, I feel like you haven't had the best run of late, because every single time I speak to you, you're like, oh goodness, Claire, do I have to do again?
Yeah, the wheel turns. Eventually it'll go our way.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck and holding thumbs for you. Here comes your dad. Is your dad?
Yeah.
How's this one going?
Not so well either.
It's also not doing well. We're not going to talk to the Patambas for the rest of the day until something turns.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, that is exactly what motorsport is all about. The wheel does indeed turn. And Patamba and the guys have had a spell of bad luck, but his results are getting better in the DTM Trophy. He is starting to see some positive results on that side, so hopefully we'll see him back out there again. But man, motorsport can be a cruel mistress sometimes. The car has hardly turned any wheels. Certainly one of the favorites going into this race, as we see Van Niekerk now tussling with the backdrafts over there, getting past Alamisa, going into the hairpin over there, and gets let past this time, so they're not in the same battle. Of course, Dani van Niekerk and his team are not in Class E, but in fact in Class D, and leading Class D at the moment. Kishore Patamba was in the other Class D car, and he is all the way down in 17th position at the moment. So Dani van Niekerk currently looking to get top honors in Class D.
Now, for anyone that doesn't know what happened to Dani van Niekerk, he landed up in quite a monstrous accident in Cape Town. Ernest, I believe you were there to witness this, where actually the pit wall got smashed a bit, and he was all okay, a bit shaken up, a little bit irritated, but managed to dust himself off and get back going. So showing a true professionalism, and to see him coming out 2 weeks later, and he looks like he hasn't skipped a beat at this point. If I had an accident where the front end of his car was smashed to pieces, ladies and gentlemen, it was completely wrecked, I would be a bit worried to push the boundaries. But for Donnie at this point, he's carrying on his business as usual and really pushing hard in this car, and it's absolutely fantastic to see the guys really having a bit of fun out there.
Yeah, lots of fun being had at the moment, and this car over here looking really, really good at this stage. It's something to be said for these Super Cup cars. They seem to be quite reliable. From the factory, you get a sealed engine from VW Motorsport, and the car does seem to tick over, no problems. Of course, the Super Cup racing also quite interesting and close. We've got guys like the teammate in that Ligier over there, Jeffrey Kruger, driving in the Super Cup Championship as well. And there goes Kwanda Mokoena, still behind the wheel in fourth place at the moment. So he's going to get past that car very shortly. Kwanda Mokoena looking good over there in fourth position, second in Class C. But he's going to want to catch up to Mike McLaughlin. But at the moment, Mike McLaughlin seems pretty untouchable in the Class C car. Oh, a bit of a dust up there for the Super Cup car over there of Dani van Niekerk. He's going to have to yield because Kwanda is quite a far ways ahead. Kwanda on lap 49, Dani on lap 46 at the moment.
No, well, as you touched, the Super Cup cars have been very reliable, and I think they actually work well as endurance vehicles, as we've seen. Yes, if you do push the boundaries, they will unfortunately give you a rough time, as we've seen with Patemba's car. But like for Dani van Niekerk and the team, they've shown the car can run quite reliably and run really well. So it's really good to see that our local cars, even though some of them are built for outright sprint racing, you can start transferring them over to endurance racing and having a bit of fun and get bang for buck, if I can put it that way. 3 hours, 6 hours of racing, 9 hours of racing with a car that's originally can race for 10 laps, 15 laps. I think I'll go for the 9 hours.
We've seen a resurgence in endurance racing over the last couple of years, and certainly one can understand what the reason for that is. In a 9-hour race, I did a 9-hour race a couple of years ago, and you basically get 3 hours of seat time, which over the course of a season where you race for 15-20 minutes at a time can take you the entire season. So you get a season's worth of racing in one day. So there certainly is a lure when it comes to this type of racing, and we see that's why the South African Endurance Series is starting to do so well. That's why the numbers are up, that's why the entries are up, and that's why people love this kind of driving, this kind of racing. It's also quite exciting because there's not just the element of speed, there's also the element of strategy, as Kriya always alludes to when she asks the guys what their strategy is. There's the element of nighttime driving, daytime driving, driving into the night, into the light, etc., 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 fuel saving. All these sort of elements get thrown into the mix. So it's not just about out-and-out pace, which South Africa has historically been known for. Although we've got some iconic endurance races like the 9 hours in Cape Town and in Joburg, of course the Border 100, etc., 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 we've got a history of endurance races, but we've also got a very much a rich history of sprint races. So I do think endurance racing will see a resurgence in South Africa over the coming years, just as we've seen that with the racing overseas. And here come your leaders now. I think we've just realized that these guys are very, very close to each other. I'm trying to see here Paul Hill and Mike McLaughlin. Nope, they are separated by a lap. They are separated by a lap, so Paul Hill still leads us. Mike McLaughlin, a full 1 lap down on your leader over there. So he's got to unlap himself, and Arnold Neverland a full 15 seconds behind him. So Paul Hill has done the incredible and leapfrogged his way into the lead of this race with a comfortable margin as the backdrop slingshot slows right down. Slows very much right down, and we were just saying how good that car's looking out there, and this could look very well for Kwanda Mokoena. Kwanda Mokoena is second place in Class C, and he is now 35 seconds behind that car. So Kwanda Mokoena could see himself go up into first place in Class C, and then also third place overall. Let's see where Kwanda is on track at the moment.
Well, Arnold Neveling has taken, he's in second place. Mike McLaughlin in that slingshot, as it slowed down, it just all of a sudden, you watched his helmet drop. He looked straight down and, oh, that's never a good sign. Going backwards into the pits, they have discovered something has gone horribly wrong with the car, and that sudden loss of power, and you immediately, when you see a driver look down at their gauges, that's generally worst case scenario. Those gauges start lighting like a Christmas tree. There's a couple of concerns that start coming out.
Yeah, they've got some serious pace. Paul Hill just crossed the line. There comes Arnold Neveling now, and behind him will be Kwanda Mokoena somewhere. Kwanda still hasn't crossed the line yet, so we're waiting for Kwanda to come through. Arnold Neveling still in second place at the moment, and way down on Paul Hill. 2 laps at the moment as he crosses the line. Kwanda Mokoena somewhere on the circuit, still behind Mike McLaughlin technically, but not for very much longer. Rudy Barnett crossed the line as well. So Kwanda Mokoena, the man to watch at the moment, he will take the Class C lead any moment now, and that's exactly what he's here to do.
Oh, a couple of cars that I'm waiting to come back, and I was very fortunate. The first 6 hour Pikisa was run by Roger Pierce, former owner. And as you spoke to Isaac Spies and them, saying they bought over from Roger Pierce when he was retiring. But the cars that were racing in there is such as the Genettas. We had the Genettas that were going racing. We also had the Pull Beams. Now, that had Duncan Foss and Graham Foss racing, and they did very, very well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Pull Beams starting to return. I'm looking forward to seeing the Genettas starting to return. I've gotten hope, because seeing the Aston Martin back in action, it kind of gets the what's next, what's going to come next, because it's out there. It's out here in South Africa. We've got the cars. Let's bring them back to the circuit.
Yeah, indeed. There are a couple of pull beams back in Cape Town. Of course, Craig, Jarvis as well, and many others racing performance cars down in Cape Town. So there's a couple of, Harper Motorsport has got a couple of pull beams in their garage as well down in Cape Town. So hopefully they will be back in the championship as well. The Malak as well from Harper Motorsport. So I do believe that there are quite a few cars that aren't taking part at this stage, but it's still nice to see with all of this relatively full grid. Kishore Patamba still circulating. They're probably just testing that car out for the next race. Currently doing 116s, which is, I'm sure, nowhere near the ultimate pace of that car. As here comes your second place, third place man, Kwanda Mokoena. But first in Class C is Kwanda Mokoena at the moment, and that's exactly what he wanted to do. Mike McLaughlin sliding down the order, and now Kwanda's got 2 laps in hand ahead of Mike McLaughlin. Here, however, comes Rian Botma in that number 78 car. They are way, way down the order, but lapping very, very fast indeed at the moment. The fastest out there at this stage with a 1 minute dead as Kwanda Mokoena makes his way into the pit lane for the first time.
Now you can be sure Rian Botma is keeping an eye on that temperature gauge. As you and I know, soon as there's something that goes on where the temperature starts to climb, that's when it sits in the back of your head, because you can break a motor so quickly, especially in these hot conditions. Just taking a look, Paul Hill is in the pits as well, so he's getting some fuel chucked in, and it looks like is there going to be a driver change? Kwanda Mokoena staying in his car. He's going to be going out doing very, very well as a youngster. But just taking a look on the screen, we've got GT3 car, Aston Martin, GT3 car, Lamborghini, GT4, Audi RH, and then we've got a Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car in the top 4. I mean, this is amazing to look at. I'm sorry, I quite enjoy this, that we have got different... We've got GT3s, GT4s, and we've got a cup car racing here in South Africa in an endurance race. I mean, this is ideal. This is what I love to see. And it's why I love endurance racing, because you can put these cars up against one another and see what they can do, see the differences, as we're going to see what the Aston Martin can do to pull away from Kwanda Mokoena as they exit out the pits.
Yeah, Kwanda Mokoena still 1 lap down as Kriya Gangia gets ready to chat to the next group of drivers. Paul Hill still in the lead, but Arnold Neveling should be on this lead lap. I think Arnold Neveling might have gotten past. We're waiting for the official classification. I'm trying to see where Arnold Neveling is but it looks like he's still one full lap down, or just under one full lap down. Here comes, let's see where Arnold Neveling is. Yeah, he's still one. Arnold Neveling crossed the line. He does. He is ahead, in fact. So we've just got classification now. Arnold Neveling has taken the lead of this race. Paul Hill is now in second position. Ari Neveling takes the lead, but he still has to pit. So there goes the GT4. Kwanda Mokoena is now third overall. And I'm sure Kwame Mokoena, the father of Kwanda Mokoena, will be listening to this and watching on proudly as the young South African makes his way around in third position. Verissimo Tavares is in fourth place. There goes your former leader, Paul Hill. But I do think that will change back again as he makes his way around and Arnold Neveling heads into the pits at some stage. Because, of course, these cars don't run on prayers alone. They've got to fill up with a good old-fashioned high octane to keep them going.
Sometimes you use a rag that's been soaked and you run on the fumes at worst. So yeah, that's one thing that's been there. So we got Kriya down in the pits to give us a little bit more information. And Kriya, how are you doing there? And you're standing next to Chop Spooker.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Kriya not available just yet. Some audio issues there. We will sort that out momentarily. Kriya and Chops go way back. In fact, they've done a Formula One show together many years ago. And in fact, recently as well, they're doing the Formula One show together. So Kriya and Chops talk to each other all the time. So I think this will just be a continuation of whatever conversation they were having over the last couple of days. But I'm quite keen to hear. We saw that Kwanda Mokoena pulled into the pits. We didn't, however, see a driver change. So Chops is still sitting tight. And Kwanda has been known to double stint. So that is certainly possible. Michael Stephen now behind the wheel of that Aston Martin. So Hill in the pits at the moment. But Kriya, I understand you are standing with the legend himself, Chop Sapuka, who basically got told by his nephew, no, it's fine, uncle, I'll keep driving.
So pretty much first I have to say that Chops and I still have a Formula One show together, Formula One podcast, so you definitely need to check it out. But I do need to tell you that I'm really sorry that Kwanda couldn't let you into the car today.
Well, it's part of the strategy. He's just coming in to refuel and then out again. Just trying to play it safe in case other guys come in and we're in a safety car situation. They would come in, we wouldn't need to come in, we'd just keep on going. Yeah. So we're just going to take it in that stride and see what happens.
So you kind of 2 laps behind at the moment. Charles and Arnold still need to make their stop, and it doesn't look like they're coming in just as of yet.
Look, we do understand that. They still have to make a pit stop. They're much, I think they're relatively much quicker than us, but I think in our class we are leading at the present moment, and overall we're third, which is pretty ideal. And we'll just wait it off and see what happens during the rest of what's left. I mean, Arnold now is coming in, so we'll take it in those strides.
And you guys are doing fantastically well in the series so far. Literally on podiums every single time we come on racing.
Well, kudos to the team. They've done a fantastic job. We just deliver when we have to, and we do the best we can with what we have.
Job so humble, so humble. But thank you so much and best of luck for today.
Thank you very much.
Humble, Chops is humble.
Of course, Basha Bonke, Chop Sapuka, the 2-time Polo Cup champion, ever the statesman for South African motorsport over there, now racing with his nephew, Kwanda Mokoena. Kwanda Mokoena, there on your screen at the moment in third place. Michael Stephen immediately sets a fastest lap time for the Aston Martin with a 1:00.419. So he's dropping the hammer in that 35 car is Michael Stephen, who currently leads us off with the Class B Aston Martin. Second place is Arnold Neveling in Class A with a best time of 1 minute dead. Kwanda Mokoena with a 1:03, having just done an incredibly fast 1:03.997, still in the car, double stinting the Audi at this stage. And an interesting strategy. Let's see if that pays off for them later on as Kwanda makes his way around the circuit once more. Verissimo Tavares in fourth place, Rudy Bonner at the first of the backdrafts in fifth position, and Baron Pretorius right behind him, followed by Morgan Root. Honor Pater, very good in that number 33 car, and unfortunately McLaughlin all the way down in ninth position. David Franco just having taken over from Van Niekerk in the 69 car over there. And Craig Zank all the way up the field now in 11th position. Colin Ellison, who was our championship leader at one stage, now in 13th place. Fikilo Olomisa in front of him, and Rian Botma in a disappointing 14th position. Still out there fighting to try and catch up. He's on lap 43, 7 laps behind Colin Ellison in 13th position. So unfortunately, the Rian Botma car having to circulate and push the pace to try and get ahead. They are now on a lap time of 1 minute 12. So I do suspect that they either might be in the pits or slowing down once again. We should get eyes on them shortly to try and figure that one out, Stephen.
Chop Sabuka wasn't allowed in the car because he's got the wrong badge on his overalls. But we've got Kriya, who's got another driver down in the pits. Kriya, how are you doing down there?
Cool, guys. I'm standing here with Chris. Now, Chris is the team manager for Paul Hill and Michael Steven. Tell me what's happening out there. I kind of figured that you guys are having some tech problems.
Just comms issues. I think we just need to check comms. At the moment, it's all in hand. Yep. But it is always useful to be able to speak to the driver, so it'll be quite nice. If not, we'll use the pit board. I mean, we've all been there.
All right, so you guys are currently sitting second, but Charles and Arnold still need to come in for a pit. How's strategy going? How's the car going?
I think we're looking good right now. We can go much longer. So if we continue like this, fingers crossed, we're going to be in a good spot.
Are you guys going to do another driver swap, or are you guys done for the day?
We'll see. I'm not sharing.
Oh, no inside information, guys. I tried there. But we'll catch up with the guys a bit later and see what's happening. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, Chris, not holding back, not pulling any punches there. Kriya not used to getting told no, Steve. She always gets away. We're going to have to work on Chris with that one.
I think we've got to get him a few coffees, in the morning and start trying to soften him up there. But as we heard, comms being a problem and having to revert back to using the old school way of a pit board. And if a pit board doesn't work, use smoke signals at this point and just hope the car doesn't reply with smoke signals. But it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to play this around, because they in the pound seat to go and for a proper time. So it's going to be incredible. I think it's going to be an amazing thing for this Aston Martin to go for a podium, and what a welcome back. Michael Steven, though, going and showing what the car can do, and Paul Hill, no, not taking away from him, he's done an incredible job. He had an incredible stint in the car and has really performed. So let's see what Michael Steven can do. He's got a lot to push, a lot of space to try and catch up, and he seems to be on a bit of a wicket at the moment, just getting a bit of pace underneath and really pushing.
Michael Steven really pushing hard. Kwanda Mokoena now finds himself in second position over there. Oh my goodness me, Kwanda is climbing. Charlotte Ranji's clearly having gone to do a pit stop now, is now in third position. So we got a Class B car in the lead, a Class C car in second, Class A car in third. And let's not forget, Heinrich Latergan, old man Latergan, not so old, starting to push the pace in the number 5 Porsche. And they will no doubt start to get into contention in the later part of this race. We've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen time and time again. The Latergan car starting to push the pace later on. There goes one of the Class E cars, but that, of course, is your leader, Michael Steven, out in front in the Aston Martin. And as you say, we're not getting the information we want from Chris, from the team leader over there, but Kriya will get to him eventually. I'm sure we'll start getting the strategy info out any second now.
When you start getting the coffees and you start bringing the coffees, that's when they start to warm up to you. But it's been very interesting. So far, the race has been a bit of a change throughout. We originally thought that the Ligiers would be the most dominating things. Unfortunately, problems coming in and going and sending them down the field. But also a change up at the front. We've seen Tavares, he's really pushing as hard as he can. Trying to make up a bit of ground. We have seen the Lamborghini Gallardo also putting in a fantastic performance. Kwanda Mokoena up into second place in that Audi R8 GT4 LMS, and he's not doing it alone this time. He's got his uncle with him and also getting a bit of guidance there. But Kwanda Mokoena has come from karting. He's done some fantastic work in karting, moved up through all the racing, went into polos, and then jumping into this Audi R8 GT4 with a future getting into the GT3s, and really looking forward to seeing that. Third place, we've got Charles Ranges. He's now jumped into the car. He's taken over from Arnold Neveling and having a bit of fun out there. Both of them did share the Audi R8 GT3 LMS Evo earlier, and they've now parked that car. They're having a bit of fun. Heinrich Lartigan in this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. I think this has to be the 992, which was a recent addition to their garage. We saw it first out last race, really performed and actually went for the win. So looking to do it again. Remember, this isn't about who's got the fastest car. It isn't about who can put down the most amount of power. This is all about a person that can keep consistent, a team that can keep the car going, keep it alive, and outlast the competition. Now, originally this was going to be a 6 hour, but it was split into 2 3-hour races, which has been rather helpful for a couple of the teams, because now they have the chance to put the cars back together and have a second shot at it to try and maximize as much points as they can for the weekend. Down into 5th place, we've got Bono Pretorius, the Pretorius family really doing well. First of the Class E's, as Ernest Wenton said earlier, and really putting on a fantastic performance. They're a little bit further down in the championship than what they would like, but hopefully getting a win in the Class E's is going to help climb up that ladder and get closer and closer to the Titan Historic F1 racing Colin Ellison, who unfortunately is doing everything he can to try and hold that championship. As was brought up, he was leading the championship at one point. He was very consistent, but a few problems have thrown him down the ladder, and as you can see, he's on a bit of a charge. It's number 11 car, and let's take a look. That's Hulumisa, who's going out and having a bit of fun. He's keeping ahead of Colin Ellison, so this is actually for position. Whoa, Hulumisa going sideways. That's Hulumisa.
Hulumisa spins out. Hulumisa spins out. Sorry to jump in like that, Steve. Hulumisa spins out. It beached on the side of the circuit. This is what we were talking about. This is the kind of incident that happens at that corner, not the kind we saw with Michael Steven yesterday.
No, this is when you push it a little bit too hard, you touch the grass, because there is a slight drop and it just upsets the car, and that's it, you're a passenger. So, but this is what makes the circuit so interesting, and definitely a driver's circuit. It's not a horsepower, it's not a who's got the best cornering. It's all about keeping the flow, and that one moment, that split second you lose focus, is when it starts to hurt you. And Hulumisa at this moment, dropping down the order, is definitely not having his greatest moment, but hopefully he can get his eye back in and get going. But Colin Ellison, who was behind him, stuck the pressure on, watched Hulumisa go off and said, thank you very much, I'll take that position and keep on my merry way. So looking forward to seeing if Colin can start climbing back up the ladder. But keep an eye, 14th place is Jeffrey Kruger, so he's in the car. Butma is out the car, and they keeping an eye on that temperature gauge. But it looks like we've got another one of the backdraft roadsters off. We'll try to get the number of that car.
That looks like Peter. That's Ono Peter in the white backdrop, 33 car over there, and he's definitely made a bit of a mistake there. But this is what happens with endurance racing. You just make silly mistakes. I was fortunate enough never to go off in that 9-hour race, but you could quite easily just not be focused for a split second. And here's the moment we saw early on. Let's see what happens. It goes a little bit fast through that section there, starts to get it sideways through the top of Hanger. Oh my goodness me, Colin Ellison just takes the gap. And that was as close as it comes there. Luckily, these backdrops are quite low to the ground, so they're not going to flip over quite easily. They're not going to have any issues like that where they're going to roly-poly quite easily. They are very much balanced race cars, so that was a bit of a close one. I would imagine that wasn't fun to do.
I think there was a change of color of the seat. I can tell you that, because for both Colin Ellison and for Hulumisa, they kept their foot on that throttle all the way to the ground. So it's interesting, but we're going to have a chat with Kriya, who's not talking to the drivers or the teams, but actually talking to the people enjoying on the sidelines and looking forward to seeing the concert a little bit later.
So I've moved a little bit further down the track and I seem to have found a couple of more peeps. Hi guys, I'm coming to chat to you for a moment. There's a camera there. How's the racing been so far?
It's been epic. It's been a lovely day. A lot of adrenaline and yeah, we've just been enjoying.
Cool. So tell us a little bit more about why you come out to the races. Are you a big motorsport fan?
I'm a very big motorsport fan. As you can see, part man, part car. So I'm also in the process of trying to get myself out on track for next season. So yeah, coming to learn, coming to enjoy, coming to just feed off the energy and go around for a few hot laps also.
Did I just hear you went around for a hot lap?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about that experience.
That experience was quite amazing. That was I think my 5th hot lap experience here.
Yeah.
But that was my first ever time in an aerial atom. So it threw off whatever I thought I knew about a car because there was no weight transfer, there was nothing. I was just holding on for dear life. It was amazing.
Cool. And you get to enjoy a good concert later as well?
Oh yes, definitely. We're here till 10, maybe 12, so yeah, let's go.
I mean, speed and sound, right? Speed and sound.
Definitely, all the way. All the way.
All right, I'm gonna chat to you, man, over here. Tell me, what brings you to the races?
Actually, this is my first time coming here. Yeah, so I get to experience this thing. I only see these things on TV. Yeah, to be honest, I only see this thing on TV. So this is my first experience, you know. So I'm very happy to be here.
And what motivated you to come today? Your friends.
My friends, you know. So I'm very happy. I don't want to lie. I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to enjoy this thing.
All right, so now you heard it. You heard it from everybody that's here. Bring a friend, bring some family, come out, enjoy the races, and some music afterwards.
PK. PK. It's all about PK.
It's all about PK. What a legend.
Yeah, let's go.
Back to you guys in the studio.
It is all about PK. It is all about PK. I met him the last time I was down in PE. What a fantastic personality. And PK, if you're hearing this, brother, I hope that you will be in behind the wheel with you holding the steering wheel. Unlike the last couple of times where you've done the passenger rides. I know you like the passenger rides. I like it too. But I'm hoping to see you back on circuit next time. PK, look forward to it, my brother. Nice to see him out there on the circuit. A fan favorite, certainly one of my favorites, personalities out there in Port Elizabeth. Plenty personalities on the track and off it, of course, Sparky Bright, one of the people that everybody will know from Port Elizabeth as well. But back to the action we go. And there is your leader, ladies and gentlemen. That is Michael Stephen, the South African phenom behind the wheel of that Kalex car over there. That, of course, is the Aston Martin, and sharing the car with Hill. We saw earlier Kwanda Mokoena now is firmly in second position, quite a distance ahead of Charles Ranjis, 48 seconds to be exact. So Charles Ranjis finds himself in third place, Hein Lauterkhan in fourth position, but that is the leader at this stage. The Kalex car makes its way around the final corner down the main straight, and just look at the way it powers down that straight. 59.9 seconds across the line, the fastest lap for that car, and one of the fastest that we've seen here, only to be beaten by Jeffrey Kruger with a 59.776. But it's not enough to be fast. It's not enough to be good. It's not enough to be lucky. You've also got to be consistent, and that's exactly what this car is. Unfortunately, Jeffrey Kruger, not so much at the moment when it comes to the consistency, but certainly someone that has been consistent is Michael Stephen. Kwanda Mokoena in second place, and Vishal Ranjis in third, as mentioned. And now we watch this car circulating. Looks like he's catching Kwanda Mokoena over there. So just incredible stuff from all of these drivers over here. The racing action heating up. And if we can, for a second, as we watch the leader overtaking second place, man, just that's incredible pace there. Michael Stephen getting past second place, man. So putting another lap in between him and his closest rival. I'd love to cut to the Class E battle because Baron Pretorius has slipped all the way back, and Ben Morgenroot has now taken the Class E win in the lead in the 222 car. So Ben Morgenroot in that 222 car will be leading off Class E, and I'd love to have a look at that because between him and Rudy Barnard there's only a second between the two of them, and those two are fighting for position at this stage. There goes Kishore Patamba circulating quite slowly in the number 17 car, and here comes the leader now overtaking. Kwanda Makwena puts himself into an even more favorable position. And yeah, if we could just get our producers to cut to the 222 car, they should be coming into turn 1 now of the circuit, the first corner of the circuit. They would have just crossed the line. I'd love to see exactly what's going on with those two cars, because that is for position and that's for the lead in Class E. They should be making their way around here in the next coming moments. Here comes the leaders of overall leader once again.
One thing that was mentioned, sorry to jump in there, I just want to point out one thing that was mentioned was a person that has only seen the racing on TV, now getting to see the cars in real life, getting to see the GT3 cars, getting to see everything, and you can see the excitement, the smile, the genuine smile of a petrol head that has now come home. Glad to have it.
Look, I'm not going to lie. If you ever met PK, you'll know why his friends are now petrol heads, whether they want to be or not. He's going to make them one, and here is the battle for Class E supremacy. Class E, of course, is our most competitive class, where at the moment you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in the same class. And here comes Baden Pretorius, Rudy Barnard, and as Rudy Barnard gets past Ben Morgenroot. Rudy Barnard gets past Ben Morgenroot in the 42 car, and that is him taking the lead in Class E. So Ben Morgenroot getting overtaken there by Rudy Barnard. And here comes Charles Aranchis now getting past as well in that Lamborghini. And after a hard-fought battle in Class E, seeing Baden Pretorius in the lead, he's now slipped down. But I don't think this is the last time we're going to see this lead change hands, Steve-O. We've seen it happen before. These guys swap positions all the way through the entire duration of the race. And we've only got an hour and a half done of the 6 hours of racing today. And we see the marshal cheering on there as, I got to say, these marshals are quite invested in this race. It's good to know, because you need those guys to be on the point and on the ball when they need to wave those flags. We saw the outcome of a race was determined by the waving of a flag. So it's very important that the marshals stay and keep their wits about them. But there goes your leader, as it looks like Ben Morgenroot dips into the pits there. So maybe that's why Ben Morgenroot wasn't willing to fight it there. He just let it happen, let him go past, and Rudy Barnard is now the leader in Class E.
And Ben Morgenroot's going to switch over to one of his sons and allow them to get in the car and have a bit of fun. But I've got a trivia question for you. How much do you think, without a driver, with just the car alone, empty tank, that one of these backdraft roadsters, our Class E's, how much do you think they weigh, just by looking at them?
I think you've asked me this question before, and I think I got it wrong the last time as well. But as far as I know, it's about a ton, about 1 ton, 1.1 tons, if I'm not mistaken.
The car's minimum weight is 1,000 kilograms. So yes, 1 ton. And then you add your driver, then you add your fuel, and that's what it is. But it's so amazing. I'm going through the SRs, the regulations, and the rules of how this specific class works, and there's next to nothing you could do. As I've mentioned previously, the power steering fluid cooler, you may fit one. Gearbox, you're not allowed to touch it. Engine, you're not allowed to touch it. It has to be done by TR Tech down in Durban. They run a BMW 5-speed diesel gearbox, out of all things, with these big Ford engines. It's all sealed. You can't do anything except for change your camber, change your toe, little things in terms of setup, but you can't do a lot. You can't even change the ride height massively. The minimum ride height is even set here of what you can do, and it's within ranges that you would drop the thing a little bit lower to what you see the slingshot running. And this is why it's a competitive class. I feel if we had to talk about karting, I mean, we go back to the last race where we saw Jaeger Robertson, who was busy racing one of these cars, and when I got to chat to them, he said it's like karting. Everyone's in the same thing. You know what they're going to do. The only thing it comes down to is drivers and setups. And these cars have been rather bomb-proof of late, where the reliability is really, really good. And I'm quite amazed. Honestly, I think these roadsters are going to be the future of the SAES. We're going to see more and more starting to come up, and more guys starting to transition to them versus other classes of racing.
Yeah, exactly. And look, when it comes to reliability, these cars definitely have proven themselves. It's a tough outing there if you're going to be driving anything for more than 15 minutes. I've seen the race cars break on the first 2 laps of a 15-minute race. So in order to do an hour, to do 2 hours, to do 3 hours, you need incredible reliability. But they've also got a truck full of spares to make sure that the cars stay reliable. So I do think that, yeah, these guys are going to be just fine. They've swapped engines, gearboxes, and everything in between. They've got full spare support from the backdrop team. But as we watch the 42 car circulating over there, and that 42 car, currently your leader, Rudy Barnard, over there in the backdrop car. Let's go through the comments on social media. We've got Nicole Brewer says, go Benjamin Morgenroep. We've got Ari Stillen all the way from Cape Town, one of our Cape Town marshals. Ari, a very well-known marshal down in Cape Town. We've got Ellie Vegara also in the comment section there on Facebook. Keep those comments coming, folks. Keep those comments coming as we see Kwana Makwena threading his way through there. And, of course, on YouTube as well. We've got a couple of comments here. Good luck, Jeff, says Aftermarket 69. Sam Magwaza says all the best to Baku and Fikile. And Raceweb says, great job on the commentary, Stephen, but I'm not so sure about the other guy. What's he trying to say here? And then I'm just kidding. Then Mercedes Taylor, best of luck to Tequila. Elsie Bros says, go VT. So lots and lots of support for all the local drivers there. We've got quite a few people on both streams. So guys, you can watch it on Facebook. Let your friends know. Share the link and like and subscribe to the Facebook and YouTube channels. Don't forget to give us your comments. Send your shout outs. We every half an hour to an hour or so, we'll make sure to show some love to the comment section. And please put those comments out there. Let your friends and family know that this is happening. This is the South African Endurance Series that you're watching now. This, of course, is rounds 5 and 6 in Port Elizabeth. The Spring Motorsport Festival is underway.
What I would love to see, and this is a bit of a challenge to the guys on Facebook. I know YouTube, unfortunately, we can't do it. But guys, take a photo of you watching the race. Go and take a selfie and put hashtag SAES. We want to see you guys, even though you might not be at the circuit, we want to see you guys cheering on. We want to see the families getting involved. You know, even though you're not at Aldo Scribanti, I know the petrol heads at home are watching this, whether you're in your garage, whether you're sitting at home, whether you've got load shedding and you are using the data on your phone to make sure, and everyone's crowded around it. We want to see selfies coming up. But it's absolutely amazing. And I just want to point out, we have had an hour and 29 going, hour and 30 minutes done of the race. We've still got an hour and 30 minutes to go. And these guys are still putting in some impressive lap times. Michael Stephen has consistently so far been putting sub 1 minutes in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, I know. Michael Stephen has been pumping out those laps in that Aston Martin. I mean, just incredible stuff for Michael Stephen. 59.8 these last lap, and his best time of 59.6. So under the 1 minute mark, which I think is enough to see them extend their lead. The cars that were threatening them, of course, Adcock and Jeffrey Kruger, seemingly now too far down the order to pose a threat at this stage. Charles Ranjis with the best time of 1:00, and Hein Latergan with a 1:01, I don't think pose a threat at this stage. So Michael Stephen, maybe not necessary to keep the hammer down quite so hard, but that's exactly what he's doing and extending that lead with 1.5 hours to go. We are at the halfway mark of this first round, Steve-O. And Michael Stephen still pushing hard, and now having set another fastest lap for himself. And I'm looking at the fastest lap. Michael Stephen set the fastest lap of the race now with a 59.607. So Michael Stephen not holding back, the fastest out there out of everyone in that Class B Aston Martin. Look at him go.
B for beast. That is definitely all I can say. I saw Kwana Makwena also going very wide into turn 1, so braking a little bit later, trying to push a little bit harder than planned. But absolutely amazing to see it. And some faultless racing there. I'm looking forward to seeing how strategy comes into play, because we've hit that halfway mark. This is where you're going to start seeing guys start feeling that fatigue. The drop-off point for your concentration is going to start happening. You're starting to get that buildup of lactic acid in the legs, the arms, and you're starting to get a little bit more stiff in the car. And this is where the endurance factor comes in. Because, Ernest, you've been in a 9-hour, you've raced it. That buildup of lactic acid, you're constantly on the brakes and really having to give it everything you got to slow the car down. The G-forces just bashing your body left and right. And even though you've tightened up into that car so much, you're still moving around. You can feel the belt starting to chafe into your collarbones. It's definitely not an easy run. So from your side, what will the drivers be starting to feel now that they've done 1.5 hours of driving, or the cars have done 1.5 hours? Because even if you're a new driver, you're climbing into a car that is baking hot. You're climbing into a 50-degree oven at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And we heard earlier on from Hill that he's coming off an injury. And when I did the 9 hours, also coming off an injury. And you're kind of concerned that you're going to cramp up, that your back's going to get tight, or whatever the injury is. Maybe it's a neck injury or something like that. You're kind of concerned about it all the time. And that's part of it's a race of attrition. You need to be a certain level of fit as well. And it's all of these things that come into play, that play on your mind. Someone like Michael Stevens going to jump into this car and do laps for hours and hours, because that's what he does. And having spoken to my performance coach, he was talking about the fact that when it comes to this kind of driving, you need to do this kind of driving in order to get good at this kind of driving. And endurance racing, we see Michael Stevens do countless laps in countless series. So for him, this won't be a problem. But if you're coming off an injury, you've got to be concerned about your own well-being, and just that little bit of concern can cause some doubt. So there's a lot of mental fortitude that comes into this type of racing. But man, this guy's in a class of his own at the moment, Michael Stevens, as he heads up. Just got a couple more shout-outs here. We've got Raceday Moodley all the way in Ireland watching the stream. So big shout out to Raceday all the way watching in Ireland, and Astrid Hookstead watching all the way from Germany as well. So we've got some international viewers on the stream over there. Hope you guys are enjoying it out there. Please keep those comments coming, keep the shares going, and check out the live stream on Facebook and YouTube if you want to keep up to date with what's happening in the Spring Motorsport Festival that continues to rock on for the next couple of hours. And speaking of rocking on, we've got Good Luck on the stage later on. And of course, we've got Jesse Clegg as well as DJ Zane in the mix. Wow, what a weekend. Wish I was there. And if you are there, be sure to check it out at Aldous Grabati Raceway. And here comes Michael Stevens trying to get past that Porsche over there. Heinrich Lattergan behind the wheel, having taken the wheel from Tavares. But while all of this is happening, and this of course isn't for position, Priya is in the pits at the moment and getting us the inside scoop. Let's see if she is able to get that information. I'm sure Kriya is going to twist some arms for us. Don't take no for an answer, Kriya. Don't take no for an answer. We want to know what's going on.
You know what? Sometimes I do have to take no for an answer, but on this particular occasion, I'm going to bat my eyelids at Rudy and be like, Rudy, you're currently leading your class. Give us all the inside information. How's it going?
Oh my word, the start was quite hectic. Took the lead into the first corner, and yeah, I think the moment got the better of me, so by the time we crossed the line again, I was in second. I saw the guys pulling away, tried to just maintain the speed. The tyres were still quite cold, the brakes were cold, so the car was locking up a bit, so just settled in at a point into third place. Caught the guy that was in second, managed to pass him. I don't know what happened or why I caught the guy that was first, because my lap times were the same as they were before. So yeah, I mean, it was quite exciting. It was good to settle into a rhythm, get rid of the nerves, if you will. Yeah. We had a bit of a mix-up with our pitting. One of our cars pitted too early. So when I got in, they were in the pits, so I had to drive through. Unfortunately, I gave myself a drive-through penalty. Did the lap, got in. So quite stoked. I have no idea where we are right now, so let's see where we end up. But so far, so good.
Well, let's have a little look there. Just before I chatted to you, you were still in the lead. So we're hoping that you are still there, which will be great for you. But how's it being out on the track? How's it being in SAE? Has it been a great experience so far?
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. You can't explain it to someone that's done sprint racing, you know, for only 5 years. You have to come and do it to really experience what it's about. There's a lot of fast cars coming up on you, so you have to be awake. A lot of guys putting some dirt on the track, so it's quite overwhelming, but it's fun. It's excellent. I mean, I've got nothing bad to say. It's brilliant.
And even though you did have a drive-through penalty, if you want to call it that, you still had a slick penalty. I mean, a pit stop, cars out on the track again. Is this the last stint right to the end?
Yeah, so this will be the stint towards the end. So hopefully we've got the Mackie Monster in the car now. So hopefully we'll make up for what I threw away. But I'm quite stoked. I think we really have an opportunity. If the car lasts and we focus, we can do it.
All right, holding thumbs for you. We can take it to the end.
Thank you very much.
Cool. All the best.
I'm sure it wasn't too difficult having a conversation with Rudy over there, batting those eyelids. Kriya, I feel sorry for you out there having to chat to all these race car drivers, smelling the fumes. But speaking of race car drivers, Mackie Adlam has now taken over the reins of the car. Mackie Adlam, multiple champion in Westpac V8 and many other racing series, competing in many other racing series as well. So I am very sure that he's going to drop the hammer now. Their times are looking so solid in that car, the Class in car, 108. Their times, David Franco further back with a 107 in Class D, but pretty much they are on pace in one of the faster cars in Class E. So I do think that Mackie Adlam, if he can do similar times to Rudy, maybe a little bit faster, they should be back in the running, as well as Michael Stephen continues to circulate and continues to extend that lead with 3 laps over Kwanda Mokoena, who is on the same lap as Charles Arangis, who is 2 laps ahead of Hein Lategard. Benjamin Morgenroot currently leads in the 222 car in Class E. Baron Pretorius in 3rd place, but Mackie Adlam now behind the wheel in 3rd place in Class E. And it's interesting to see that most of them, Ben Morgenroot and Baron Pretorius, are on the same lap, and Mackie Adlam is about to join them on that lap as well. So we are about to see a 3-way tussle for the Class E lead. Let's watch those times. Let's see how they start to stack up with one another. But I do suspect we're going to be seeing these guys starting to race each other even more so on track over the next couple of moments.
As you said, it is going to be some close racing as we start getting a little bit closer to the end. But a lot of strategies are now, we've done our pit stop, the guys are going to keep going and see what they can do. So going to be very interesting to see how this all works out. Kwanda Mokoena doing an absolutely fantastic job in that GT4. And you got Michael Stephen, who is leading. Charles Arangis in 3rd place and is pushing hard to try and catch up. Only 37 seconds behind. But we've got Kriya once again going and bending the ears of our drivers and teams. Kriya, what have you got for us?
With this particular chat, I've got a couple of questions, Anand, for you. You're driving with Mario D'Souza. How's the race going first? How's the race going so far?
Oh, fantastic. It's a long race. It's 1.5 hours is a long time to drive on the limit, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I must say, I thought at one stage the pit guys forgot about me. I kept looking, but eventually, yeah, so I managed to finish 71 laps and I stayed out for an hour and a half. Yeah. It felt great. We started in 15th place, and after 1.5 hours we were 9th. So I'm quite happy with that.
So I have a couple of questions that are coming from our guys in studio, our commentators. So you're obviously very big at Toyota, being the VP of Toyota. There's not a Toyota engine in this car.
Yeah, this is a different class. We have some different classes that Toyota participate in, the GTC and Yaris Cup and so on. Yeah, but this is just a different recipe.
I know, I'm just pulling your leg a little bit because the guys in the studio were chatting about it earlier. It's so nice to see someone that is, obviously you guys have a fierce history in racing at Toyota, but see you coming out and enjoying these series as well. It's also really nice to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, as I said to you earlier, it's after 2 decades. Precisely. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I kind of forgot what I missed for such a long time, yeah.
And you know what's the best thing? Is that it doesn't stop after your 1.5 hour stint that you just did.
That's the problem. The button's bitten now, and you know, it's where does it go now?
But the best part about it is we still have 3 hours coming up this afternoon.
Yeah, so the 3 hours is coming up. I must say I'm a little bit concerned about the night stint, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, I wish you all the best of luck and a fresh pair of eyes on the track later.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anand Painter, VP of Toyota South Africa, and of course a former Group N driver, now finds himself behind the wheel of the Backdraft Cobra, one of the most competitive classes here. In fact, the most competitive class here at the South African Endurance Series. Benjamin Morgenroot still leads us off in Class E. Baden Pretorius in Class E as well. Mackie Adlam just having done a 1 minute 10, so he's not quite on the pace. That was Baden that just came across the line there. Not quite on the pace, but a 26-second gap between Ben Morgenroot and Baden Pretorius. That over there is the... trying to see which car that is. That isn't him. It looks like Steve. You know which number car that is? I can't see the number on the screen there. That doesn't look like any of our leaders over there. Oh, can't see that number there, Steve. Yeah, that's David. No, that's not David Franco. Trying to see Steve. Do you have any idea who that light blue car is over there?
Unfortunately not. I was trying to take a look and look very closely at the car. It's got a different roll cage to the rest. So
I think that's
while
the
we're busy trying to suss that one out.
I think that's the 711 car of Marshall. We'll get confirmation as he crosses the line. I understand that Kriya is still in the pit lane and still chatting to some more drivers over there. Kriya, are you with us, and what do you have to tell us this time?
So first of all, if you guys are talking about the Tiffany blue car that is on track coming past the start-finish line at the moment, that's Craig Zank. But I'm not entirely sure if that is the driver that you are chatting about.
That's Marshall driving the car. That's the 711 car. Just got confirmation.
Right, apologies, my bad. I thought you were looking for that one.
Car.
But all good. I am standing by here with Fikile. Fikile, how's the race going so far? Bapi is out now. You guys were doing so well, and then obviously came in for pits, and then there was so much action happening here.
We're going to have to change our refueling strategy in the next round because we're timed at 1:30 that we're going to come out. Little did we know that all the other cars would come at the same time. So I came in and I couldn't refuel. I had to go back again and come back, but I had to come back, rather stop here and wait rather than to run out of fuel right on the track because it was right empty. The second last lap, it was starting to jack, so I had to come back and stop.
That is an unfortunate thing here. You guys are quite stacked up quite closely to each other. So when one car comes in, it kind of blocks the way for everybody else.
But that's fine, but we just need to change our strategy going forward. We shouldn't come at the same time.
Do not come in for fuel at the same time, everybody.
Play better on the second round.
All right, but besides that, how's the race going so far?
Well, I had my first experience of being nicked from behind, right at the hangar. Eric was behind me, and then he nicked me, and then I spun. Yeah, but yeah, it was fun. I got back, and then the car is doing good.
All right, so we'll just let the marshals know they don't have to mow that piece of grass later.
Yeah, well, maybe we need to put a blade next time so that we can mow the grass.
Well, thank you so much, Fikile, and all the best for the rest of the race.
Thanks, ma'am.
Fikile doing some mowing out there on the track.
Well, yeah, I do owe you an apology. That is, in fact, the Zank car over there. That is the Zank car over there. So Marshall driving the Zank car. That is Zank's teammate, Marshall, currently behind the wheel in 11th position and doing a solid performance at this stage. Decent times. And there goes your number 11 car. That is Fikile Holomisa's teammate driving, Bapu Rubulusa, driving that car over there. As we see another backdraft slipping by. And that looks like the Colin Ellison car driven currently by Andrew Horn. Steve, you got some insights for us on the Colin Ellison car, which is usually quite competitive in the field. Currently quite a far way down with Benjamin Morgenroot leading that category.
I'm actually sending messages to the guys down by the Ellison car. That 007, Andrew Horn behind the wheel. Very interesting for people that don't know Andrew Horn. He was actually racing a historic Formula Ford last weekend and got a drive after paying to be here, and he's done some extensive, and I'm going to really tell you here, he's done some extensive fitness training for this race. He's walked up and down the stairs at his place at Westcliff Hill. But one thing about Andrew is he had lupus quite some time ago, and he was extremely ill. And at one point it didn't look like he was going to do any more racing. He was that's his passion. But through it all, his passion drove him to get sorted out, to get over the lupus, and also, some real hard work to do it, made it some great friends. So it's glad to see Andrew back in, and previously he was racing the Nash here in the SAES in round number 1, missed out, and he's now returned. But I'm also getting reports that Colin's doing some extensive debriefing with his team. Not with the rest of the team. They've got a cooler box with courage juice. They're not having it just yet, but he's got Malcolm busy chatting to him, saying, listen, you can't lose out, and let's see what Andrew Horn can do. But we got Kriya down in the pits to give us a bit of information.
Yes, guys, I am here with our current race leading team, the Morgan Roots. So it's going great for you.
Yeah, well, if it carries on like this for 6 hours, you'll be very happy. But normally it never does. But we'll enjoy it while it's going well.
So you did the first stint. Your son is now in the car. How's it going? How's he holding it down?
Well, he's only been out now for about 8 or 10 laps since I got out of the car. Our times are very similar, and obviously a little bit quicker than the opposition. So that father and son team doing well.
Perfect place to be tonight. And what is the strategy as you guys are going into the evening? Are you going to start the second stint?
Well, first of all, with the first stint, we can't make 3 hours on one fuel stop only. We're going to have to do a splash and dash right towards the end, probably 10 minutes from the end, so we hope that goes well. Unless Benjamin can save fuel, which more than I was able to. And then in the night race, I'll do the first stint again, and Benjamin will do the second one.
So it's going to be quite important for him now to push in and get those better times, so your splash and dash could be okay?
Well, the bigger buffer he can give me in the dark, the better. He's particularly good in the dark. What I'll be like in the dark, I don't know. I haven't driven in the dark in a race car probably for 20 years. So,
oh, I mean, you're still 20 years. You're like 25 years old anyway, sir. All right.
Oh,
we're
my
moving out
goodness.
the way. There we go. We're moving out the
my
way.
Goodness.
There seems to be something happening on track.
Ben Morganroot's car is slowing down on circuit. That is Benjamin Morganroot in the car trying to make his way to the pit lane now. What an incredible turn of events. We're just talking to Ben Morganroot over there, joined by his son Benjamin. Christian Morganroot not with them today, and they were leading this race. And just as they started talking, cars coming to the pits. Let's see if we can get Kriya to get this live for us as it happens. Here comes the Morganroot car now. Kriya, are you anywhere close to the pit box of this car? Kriya in the pit. She's going to try and figure out exactly what's going on. She's right there at the Morganroot pit, and they are pulling in. Benjamin Morganroot is pulling in as we talk.
All right, gents, I am here with the Morganroot car. As you can see, it is coming into the pits quite slowly. We don't have any information at the moment. I was talking to Morganroot Senior when this happened, so I don't really want to disturb the team as of yet as they figure out exactly what is happening. But it does look like Ben is getting out of the car. They're opening up this engine to see exactly what is going wrong. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this. You're going to keep your eyes on this, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, so frustrating, so frustrating. Benjamin Morganroot and Ben Morganroot, the team there, unfortunately getting caught up there by some kind of problem. A long lap time now, and Baden Pretoria snatches the lead back just as we saw this happening. Now, this is endurance motorsport at its finest, folks. The pain and the agony, the triumph and the agony. The triumph for some, the agony for others. And this time, unfortunately, Benjamin Morganroot and Ben Morganroot having to watch on as the competitors fly past. And there goes your current leading class, either 262 car with Baden Pretorius behind the wheel. Christian Morganroot not here today. The other son, as we see Kwanda Makwena and Lategan over there battling it out. Kwanda Makwena currently in second place, Lategan in fourth place. Both of them running similar times, but Kwanda 2 full laps ahead of that Lategan car. Steve, what are your thoughts on what's going on with the Morganroot team at the moment?
All I can say is heart-wrenching. You know, you're having a conversation, you're talking about getting an advantage, just to have someone walk up and, tap you on the shoulder and say, listen, you've got a problem here. In our case, we had Kriya going and giving the bad news right before the car went into the pits. Oh, it's heart-wrenching. It really is heart-wrenching. But just taking a look, Kwanda Mokoena is not giving any room to Latikhan. Latikhan is battling. These two are nose to tail with one another, despite not being fighting for position. But if we take a look at the standings at the moment, first place is Michael Stephen, Kwanda Mokoena in second, Charles Ranges in third, Heinrich Latikhan in fourth place. Fifth place is Bernard Pretorius, followed by Benjamin Morgenroot, who we saw is in the pits now, so that's going to change very, very quickly. Kwanda Mokoena getting a little bit sideways though, and as much as we love to see nose-to-tail racing like this in a endurance race, this is worst-case scenario.
Rather let him pass, let him get away, and hopefully live to fight another day. The race is long. The race is in total 3 hours long for this first one, then another 3 hours after that. But Baden Pretorius leads us off. Benjamin Morgan is still in second place at this stage. We're going to have to wait and see if they're still in the pits or if they've left. But Baden now with a 2-lap lead as David Franco goes past. No, Benjamin Morgan still in the pits. Oh man, and I was just about to go into a long spiel about the Morgan history. The timing was perfect, but then all of this unfolded, and now we see Baden Pretorius in first place, back in first place. Benjamin in second place, Mario de Souza in third position. Mackie Adlam slightly slower there. I don't think he's gone into the pits, but he did a very slow time there, 1:19. So maybe they've also got some issues over there. And lots and lots of cars out there. A car that we got a little bit confused about early on was the Marshall car, the 711 car. That, of course, is shared with Zank. So that was the car we saw earlier. We see it in the pack there in that light blue color. There goes Baden Pretorius, and there comes the Porsche now as the rest of the field make their way through. Farouk Dango, at least Dango, in the pack as well. In Class D, number 17 car. There goes your Kalex leader, Michael Stephen, in the 35 car. 107 laps completed for that Aston Martin as he comes up to a gaggle of backdraft Cobras. No space to go past at this stage. Let's see if he's able to make it past. Oh, Colin Ellison. Oh, that's Bapu over there. Bapu over there getting caught up in the mix. Gets past Bapu. Bapu, of course, driving the number 11 car. Fikile in the pits at the moment. Kilo Olamisa. And the 35 car threading its way through with a comfortable lead of 4 laps over Kwanda Mokoena at this stage. Kwanda Mokoena, of course, your championship leader in the South African Endurance Series. I'm sure you'll be happy with the second place. I don't think Michael Stephen is anywhere in contention at this stage. So Kwanda Mokoena will be quite happy to stay in second position at this stage. He's got a 32-second lead over Charles Arangis in third position. There is Kwanda. Oh, Kwanda runs a little bit wide. Kwanda runs a little bit wide there. And maybe fatigue starting to set in as he heads towards the end of his stint. 2 hours of driving for him so far in the bag.
I don't think he's going to be handing over the seat just as yet until Chop Sabuka goes and changes that Lamborghini badge to an Audi badge on his overalls. But Kwanda Mokoena is going and using the Audi Quattro sort of knowledge of drive it on the dirt and still go as fast as possible. Unfortunately, the Audi R8 isn't quite a Quattro. But Ernest, I've got to point out, you can't say light blue Class E backdraft roadster. We're corrected with giving a very technical name for blue. The color blue. So it's not baby blue. There was Kriya gave us a lovely name of what that is. So when Kriya comes back, she'll teach us how it's how it's done, because maybe we've got a tangerine out there, or we got to get the colors right instead of blue and red. Otherwise, we're not doing justice.
Well, what we are seeing is the light starting to come on over there, and I'd love to hear from Kriya what it's looking like in person, how dark it is over there. Kriya, you're in the pits, you're about to give us some insights. How dark is it there? We're starting to see lights coming on the cars. Is the sun setting? What's the conditions looking like?
feel like the first conversation we need to have, guys, is the blue color. I called it Tiffany blue because there's this beautiful jeweler called Tiffany & Co. And if you're lucky enough to get a piece of jewelry from them, it comes in this beautiful blue box, which is the same blue of the Zank car. So that is Tiffany blue is what I refer to. With regards to the weather, it is definitely still quite bright out here, but the sun does set really quickly like we saw in PE. So I'm guessing that we're going to probably have about half an hour left of light, and then it's going to get dark really, really quick. But I can imagine that the lights are starting to go on the track, just to give the drivers, that time for their eyes to adjust. I also have a little bit of information with the Morgan Route car. Unfortunately, the fuel cable came unclipped. Luckily, it didn't break, so what happened was they just brought the car back in, made sure everything was fixed, did that quick refuel that we were talking about, and the car's back out on track.
Awesome stuff. The car is back out on track, and Kriya giving us all the information over there. Tiffany & Co. Blue, now we know. And there goes your leader once again, going past the Porsche. That Aston Martin really is ticking along without any sort of issue, isn't it?
Well, Aston Martin has won endurance racing around the world due to their reliability, and this car is definitely showing it's reliable. And really doing a fantastic job. And then the Morgan Route car back out and going, as we heard, getting a fuel line that just got unclipped. They got it sorted out, but that explains why it suddenly started dying off. The car just had no fuel getting pumped into it. And fortunate enough, nothing too catastrophic, but does hurt their positions ever so slightly, because now they got to try and make up time instead of saving a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, I suspect it was the accelerator cable that got unclipped over there, and I've been in that situation. All you can do is idle to the pit lane, so it looks like the accelerator cable got unclipped, and now they are not idling anymore. Definitely not idling at this stage, but they have lost the lead, and also second position. Mario de Souza in the 33 car is in second position. Of course, Mario de Souza joined today by, I'm trying to see who his teammate is over here, and yeah, that is Paether and De Souza, so that's in the 33 car. Paether now all the way up to third position, well, he's second position. Wow. So De Souza up there in the podium position in this very competitive class. So Mr. Paether over there must be quite happy. Ooh, that was the door getting closed on. That was closed on Kwanda Makwena there by that backdraft car, just shutting the door. They Kwanda had to back out of that one. I'm sure a couple of fingers being waved there as they make their way down Benjamin Morgan Route. They're almost getting into a tussle with the car, a couple of clicks up in class, but it's still all's fair in racing, as now once again the leader comes up towards all these backdrafts. Here's the goes your 33 car, Mario de Souza. There comes your leader, and in front is the leader of this class, the 262 car, Baru Pretorius, as Bapu watches on and watches the action. There comes Kwanda Makwena, and this is endurance, and on such a short circuit you come up to the back markers so quickly, Steve, over and over, and as if you're in the backdraft car, you're driving your own race. You don't care about these other guys. You're going to race to win.
No, the problem is now that the fatigue's starting to kick in, the guys are trying to focus harder and harder on keeping their cars on the circuit, and they stop looking in the mirrors. They start trying to look, away from the car, but look at what they need to do. They need to concentrate on their race, concentrate on the circuit, see where their braking markers are. They're starting to feel it, and as a faster car approaching at a high speed, you're going to get caught out very, very quickly, and you hope that the guys are checking their mirrors. But we've got Kriya down in the pits, who's definitely not feeling the fatigue at the moment. Kriya.
Yes, guys, I'm standing with Rudy here. Rudy, we just spoke and we were like, yay, it's going so well, amazing. And then you've been in the garage for the last 20 minutes. What happened?
Yeah, so the racing gods frowned on us. The alternate fuse unfortunately went, and it took us some time to figure out what it was. So the battery ran dead, and Mackie was struggling out there with power, obviously. So we replaced the fuse, all's back. we'll keep on fighting. I think we're probably a bit done for the first heat, but we're going to fight back in the second. So keep a watchful eye on the two of us. We'll be coming back with vengeance.
On the plus side, now you have some practice time to like work the car in.
Yeah, I like your positive thinking, right? Yeah, no, listen, we're going to give it everything we've got. Let's see where we end up.
All right, thanks so much, Rudy. All the best of luck.
Thank you. Ciao.
Yeah, there you have it. Mackie Adlam currently out in that car. And I was really hoping to see Mackie Adlam's pace. Hopefully he can now start to stretch those legs, but they've slipped all the way down in that number 42 car, down into 11th position overall. So unfortunately now, but just look at this, the lead has changed so much in this Class E, and also not just the lead, but second and third place, all of these guys have been shuffling around, and here comes Benjamin Morgan now, still pushing hard in that Indy Oil car over there, in that backdraft Cobra, still pushing quite hard, and they are still in third position, so still a podium finish on the cards. But Baden Pretorius, a full 5 laps ahead, is very, very comfortable out there. A little bit slower than Benjamin Morgenroot at the moment, about a second a lap, but that is absolutely fine with just 1 hour to go in this, the first of the 2 3-hour races.
Oh, just taking a look, Michael Stephen putting in the fastest time of the race so far at 59.5. So as that car is starting to burn fuel, he's now getting faster and faster in that Aston Martin. But I think there's a car, we heard that the battery ran dead. So is it another Bothma Jeffrey Kruger thing where suddenly there's a car that's parked that's missing a battery? Let's see who's got the 13 spanners to undo it and try and investigate. But but absolutely, it's like number 10 sockets. It's like number 10 sockets. They just tend to disappear. But as you mentioned, the Class E has changed numerous times. We've seen guys going for first, second, and third. And it's still so close. I mean, you take a look at Benjamin Morgenroot. He is 7.5 seconds away from Mario De Sousa. He's so close to actually getting into that podium, that second place. That's where he wants to be. And there we go. We've got the Donny van Niekerk car. That's in the pits now, getting some work done. And man, it looks amazing. I got to say, a Super Cup with some spotlights on the front. Looks like a genuine TCR styled car.
Yeah, I was having a closer look at those cars the other day. And they do look very cool. They are, in fact, they look so, the body kits are so well put together, so well done. So I do think the cars look exceptional. And there is the team looking on. Franco and Son will be the 2 other drivers in that car, and they should be going out very shortly, checking out a couple of things, taking the wheel off there. So that is going to be quite interesting to see how they are currently leading Class D. The first of the Class D cars mixing it up, but the cars looking to be so very, very consistent at this stage. David Franco was behind the wheel, and we wait and see as we now see, finally, it looks like a driver swap for that is Kwanda Makwena, handing it over to Bashabonke Jobsepuka, the 2-time VW Polo Cup champion, having started racing for Terry Moss Racing in 1999. A veteran already, not even that old, but a veteran already with plenty experience, local and international, now getting behind the wheel of that car. So let's see what happens next as the team gets ready. Donny van Niekerk and his team watching on there, and let's see how they going into the rest of this race. Incredible stuff from Van Niekerk Racing over there. Let's see how they do. The car seemingly a little bit long on those jack stands over there. So I'm not too sure exactly what the problem is at this stage, but hopefully they'll be out soon. There goes your leader once again. That is Michael Stephen in the lead of this race. Charlotte Ranjis in second place. Heinrich Lauterhan in third position. Kwanda Makwena in fourth, handing the car over now to Chopsapuka.
Well, we got to talk about the elephant in the room for the poor guys changing the tires, because like Kwanda Makwena's car or Chopsapuka, that Audi R8 GT4 LMS, even that Super Cup, they don't have a center nut to take the tires off, because as per the rules, they have to have a 5 stud setup. So they have to take off 5 nuts individually and make sure that you line them up properly. It's not like the GT3 here where it's got 1 center nut that you pull off and you put back on very quick. The poor mechanic has to go and line up each of those threads while it is blistering hot on the rim and those little nuts. You wouldn't believe how hot those little wheel nuts can become, and line them up. I cannot think of anything more tedious than going through the car bit by bit, trying to take off and put back on, where you hear all the cars coming past you and the drivers are going, come, let's go, let's get out the pits. Oh man, my heart goes out to them.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it takes a bit longer than most. And this is, of course, a race of seconds and milliseconds here, and they're tenths of a second if you can get them. We've got some comments over here, but before I get to those, let's hear what Kriya has to say in the pits over there. Kriya, over to you.
Yes, guys, I'm standing here with David. David, tell me a little bit about that stint. You guys are currently leading Class D, if I'm correct. Your dad was telling me a bit earlier that you guys were having a few issues with the car as well.
We were having tough time. The whole of yesterday, we struggled with the gearbox specifically. So we've managed to kind of do an override on the car for the time being, and it's working fine. But obviously, changed everything up completely. So yeah, I added a bit extra. As you can see, I'm absolutely dripping. Really tough out there. But yeah, it was awesome. Great to be back in PE. We love this track for the endurance series, and yeah, we had a good time.
Well, that's why I'm here, to get the sweat dripping down your face, the balaclava coming off. We need that action.
I'll bring you the balaclava later.
No. Keep it in the back. I don't need it. We're good. But tell me, what is the strategy to the end? Are you guys going to push it to the end now?
Yeah, I think, well, look, we're first going to get the first 3 hours done.
Yeah.
And I think we've got, another half an hour or so.
Yep.
So old man's going to bring it home, and then yeah, we'll see what happens after, and we'll decide in the half an hour break what we're going to do for the balance. Yeah.
Well, all the best of luck, and maybe you should go air the balaclava out for a little bit. Leave it in the sun whilst you still have some. Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Kriya over there. We've got Kriya in the pits, going to check out the lead car. I think any second we just got out. There we go. There is the lead car in the pits at the moment. And going to now the comments on YouTube. Bernard Bloom asked, is that the Aston Martin that Charlotte Andrews drove a few years ago? Steve, maybe you can answer that one. I think that's the same Aston Martin that Hill and his teammate currently leading this race, Michael Stephen, drove a few years ago.
Yeah, that was bought by Hill. Charlotte Ranchis, as far as I'm aware, had the sister car that came in. It might actually be the older Rangi's car, but I can't tell you for certain. I know that there was one Aston, then there was two, and then they disappeared, and now it's returned after some time. I'd like to know whether it is the older Rangi's car, because it has dominated in racing for quite some time, and it's actually showing what it can do here. But I know that Hills and Buck Steven, they got hold of this car specifically for endurance racing back in 2019, 2018. Got the car, made sure they could do it. It was actually an upgrade from Hills' BMW, which he's now gotten rid of, or getting rid of, and looking to move forward. Actually asking around, and yes, actually that Aston Martin was Arangi's old car. I've just got confirmation. So Paul Hills is driving Arangi's old car, and well, I had to say it's got the Arangi's magic in it, but is also a little bit of history to, if this is the Arangi's car, there was only a certain amount of this spec Aston Martin GT3 that was built. Not many were actually made by the factory. They made it as a very limited customer car, or a very limited amount for customers, and it's actually fantastic to see it. And it was one of the first Aston Martin, it was one of the first tin tops to do under a minute at SWAT Corps. So to see it coming back into the SAE series, it's absolutely fantastic. So big thank you, Michael Koenig, actually going and confirming the bits. He's also been running around and chatting to all the guys. So big thank you, big shout out to the guys Not only Kriya down in the pit giving us info, but actually the racers as well going and pointing out. Colin Ellison saying hi. He's waiting to have his courage juice a little bit later while he has a debrief with the hysterics that he's got. He calls his hysterics team.
Yeah. So we've also got a couple more comments. So there you go, Bernard Bloom. I hope that answers your question. Megadu asks for please put the positions up. We're working on that at the moment. We've spoken to our producers. They're going to try and get those positions up. But just to put you in the picture, in the lead is Michael Stephen on your screen at the moment in Class B and overall. Heinrich Latergan is in second position in that Porsche, in first in Class A, followed by Charles Ranges, who's third overall and second in Class A. Chop Sapuka, driving the Audi, is fourth and first in Class C, and first in Class E is Baden Pretorius. Kriya is back in the pits. Let's hear what Kriya has to say. What's going on as the sun starts to set here in Port Elizabeth.
You chatting about that Aston Martin, and I quickly ran over to Arnold Neveling. I'm sure you have the confirmation already, but yes, indeed, that was the same Aston Martin that Charles Ranges drove.
Wow, it's so cool to get all the latest scoops and information. So keep those questions coming, folks. We're going to try and answer whatever questions you have, whatever your comments are. Keep it clean, of course. But Bernard Bloom, I hope that answers your question. And thanks for that very interesting and very insightful question. We always love to hear from you guys because a lot of you guys are such motorsport enthusiasts and motorsport encyclopedias. And we love to speak to you guys out there. We, just like you, are fans of the sport. Here comes your leader now, Michael Stephen. And one more car to mention is the Class D leader. That, of course, is Franco, and Van Niekerk. And there they go. That is the Class D leader as your leader comes up there to once again overtake the Charles Ranges Lamborghini. Oh, slots through. And Ranges must be shaking his fist going, man, I should have kept that car, because clearly that car is exceptionally fast.
That's it. So it's amazing to see like the history starting to come in. And just take a look, that sun's starting to set a little bit faster, and oh my heavens, there is the Tiffany blue, the car of that was Marshall's, and it seems like he's battling to get that car going. It looks like it's stalled. He was able to get it up and going, but interesting to see how it all came together. The racing community all getting involved.
Yeah, exactly. But the racing community, I love to see that. I love to see them getting involved. That, of course, as you said, is the Zank Marshall car over there, the 711 car. We don't see the number on that car, so we just got to remember that Tiffany & Co. color over there, as Priya so interestingly pointed out earlier on. So let's keep an eye on that color as the flags wave, and here comes your one of the front running cars currently driven by the man himself, Chops Sapuka. And Chops doing solid times over there. The best time in the car, 103, Chops doing a 104, but this 711 car, Marshall car, is doing a little bit of a slow lap around the circuit over there. Quite a slow lap around the circuit over there. So here comes Chops Sapuka now to complete another lap. Lights on as the sun starts to set. And if we look at what time the sun officially sets in Port Elizabeth, it should be any moment now. In fact, it's supposed to be at 6:20 p.m. So the sunset is at 6:20 p.m. So they've got about another 30 minutes of sun left. And that will mean that just as the sun sets, we'll have 15 minutes of racing remaining. And then, of course, the next race, so half an hour later, will start in complete darkness. Steve.
And that is going to be interesting to see. The guys going to drive in the dark. We saw yesterday our GT3 drivers, our SAGT, going from day to night. Now you've got our SAES. They're going to be going straight through the night till 10 o'clock this evening and really showing what they can do. But talking about histories of some of the drivers, Colin Ellison a few years ago raced a Chevron B8 at Spa. As we know, Chevrons are very rare and purpose-built race cars. They're stunning cars. But to drive a B8 at Spa, I'm kind of jealous of that. And that's where he's come from. Rian Bothma, he raced Formula Vs, jumped into Sports 2000, went into Shelby Can-Am, then went to Westbank V8. and also then got into the leisure, which unfortunately a little bit further down than planned. Kwame McKenna coming from karting, moved into Polo Cup, and then you actually had a chat with his dad in the pre-race show, talking about taking the jump, taking that deep breath to climb into a GT4 car. And honestly, that is, going and supporting young talent.
And speaking of
the devil, there we go.
We've got Kriya in the pit lane chatting to the young man himself, Kwame Mokoena, and Kriya Gang here. Over to you.
When you guys ask, you will receive, and I'm standing with Kwame McQueen. I had to go find him because he was ready to pass out in his van.
I'd say it was quite a good stint. Managed to get a few places back within the first couple of laps. I'd say our main rival was probably the Porsche, so we just tried to get track position ahead of him and just try and stay in front of him as long as we could. We do know once they change onto new tires, they are quite a bit faster. So more just trying to jump them on strategy and just try and keep ahead of them on track. And yeah, once they do catch us, just try to keep them behind for as long as we can. So it's a game plan.
How are you feeling after a long 2.5-hour stint? Your leg must be quite sore.
It is quite a physical track compared to East London, so the 2-hour stint was a bit tougher here, but luckily the guys held up all the way, and now it's just up to Chops to bring the car back for the last two.
What is the strategy going into the evening tonight?
Now coming to the end of the 3rd hour, hopefully we just come in just to put a bit of fuel in, and then we try and keep Chops out for the next hour after that, and then I'll hop in for the final 3. Yeah.
You're going to do all 3 hours?
Well, that was the plan initially, but we'll see if anything changes, if there's any safety cars, anything.
Oh my goodness gracious, that is going to be a long evening for you. Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Jeez, I mean, that's what it's like to be young, ladies and gentlemen. How do you drive for 2 hours and just throw a thumbs up at the crowd like that? Incredible, that Wolverine-like healing abilities of a young man in his prime, isn't it, Steve?
Oh, I'm just feeling a little bit old at this point, because I remember starting commentating and got fortunate enough to commentate with karting, where Kwame McKenna was still running in like these mini karts. They were 50 cc's and he was going around racing it. Now I'm seeing the young man driving a GT4. I'm feeling like I need to pull out my walker and start trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my retirement. But as you said, it's fantastic to see the guys able to do it. And I think it's not only just because of the being young. I think it's being extremely fit, and his dad has been making sure that 1, the schoolwork is up to scratch, otherwise there's no racing. 2, he has to be fit enough to do it. So he's got a bit of a diet that goes with it, and also a fitness regimen that he goes with. So absolutely fantastic to see it. So you can call it being a little bit more superhuman.
Yeah, well, Steve, if he's on a diet, you better stay away from that Calyx car, because Calyx, of course, the company that does food flavorants like Mr. Sweets. So not so good for the diet, but it doesn't seem to be hampering the guys in front at all in that Calyx car, Michael, Steven. And Kriya's got another interview for us in the pits. Let's hear what Kriya has to say in the pit lane. Here we go, back to Kriya.
From one youngster to another, the boys in studio are talking about how extremely taxing races like this are on your body, and the fitness regime that you guys have to keep up with. How intense is it?
Oh, it's quite intense, It just gets long, so mentally you have to be fit. Physically, it's not as important as being mentally fit and just keeping your head. So exercise is very important, jogging. But I would say if you're mentally fit, you've accomplished 80% of your fitness. Staying positive, and just keeping it consistent, telling yourself you can.
And you'd say that it doesn't always have to be that physical fitness, because how old is Dad now?
My dad is 57 now.
57?
Yeah, I think
and
57.
He's still driving that car like a legend.
Yeah, he's not doing bad at all. He's driving it well. Yeah.
All right, so you guys are currently sitting in the top spot in your class. How's the race going so far? We don't have all that much time till the end of the race. Dad's obviously going to finish it, right?
Yeah, my dad will finish. Unfortunately, we lost gears, so we've been stuck in first basically the whole race. So about 20 minutes, half an hour in, we lost
the gearbox went, and I managed to get it into first, and I just kept it there. So I'm surprised we're leading actually, because it's been quite tricky keeping it in first, especially here. So we're actually doing really well, so maybe we'll get a win. I don't know, it's still 45 minutes about, but I'm staying positive. I'm sure we'll get the win. So yeah, he must just keep his head.
I'll definitely hold my thumbs for you guys, and I'm sure Dad Pretorius will bring it home.
Thank you.
He's looking very, very eager to get the win this time. And Diane Carter Martin asked for the standings. Well, Diane, there you go. We've just got a fresh new standings grid over there. Special thanks to our producer for making that happen. It looks fantastic, I've got to say. And there you have it, folks. There are your leaders and the standings for the SAES, Diane Carter. And of course, someone in our live stream also asked for that. That was Bernard Bloom, I think it was. No, Margaru asked for that standing. So there you go, Margaru. There are your standings as they currently stand. And we'll be updating those. You can even see the deltas over there as well. So this is pretty cool stuff. And thanks to our producer for making this happen. It looks fantastic.
I'll just take a look. A couple of guys asking, is Mike McLaughlin still out? Unfortunately not. They're getting some work on the card. I haven't seen his name go around. They were getting the car sorted out. I stand to be corrected. But Ernest, that sunset is now starting to come into play a little bit, and especially when you start heading around the final hairpin, it's smack bang in your eyes. And that brake marker that used to be there suddenly blinded by the lights.
Yeah, suddenly ever so slightly blinded by the light. And now the drivers find themselves going in and out of the shade because, of course, PE is in a bit of a bowl, isn't it? They go through the dip section and then they're in the shade, and then all of a sudden they're having to face the sun. Look at as they come around this corner now. They might get some sunshine as they come around here. But at the moment, it does look like most of it's in the shade. The sun, of course, setting at about 6:20. And you rightly pointed out, Mike McLaughlin only completing 53 laps in that car. The car was doing so well until they pitted much earlier on. And now they find themselves in 13th position, basically all the way down. Such a shame. The car was looking so on pace for a solid finish. There goes Michael Steven at the moment, all the way up by quite a few laps in front of Hein Latergan. 3 laps up on Hein Latergan. Charlotte Ranjis in 3rd position over there. Chop Sepuka in 4th place. And Chop Sepuka 1 lap down on Ranjis, 2 laps down on Hein Latergan. I'm not sure what Kwanda was talking about earlier on, but they are at the moment quite a far ways down from Latergan. And we just got to keep in mind that those deltas over there are not necessarily 100% spot on. I'll chat to our producer about that, because that does not include, by the looks of things, the extra laps that these drivers are up on each other.
Oh, Michael Steven going and putting in the fastest lap time yet again, so that tank is definitely starting to run out, doing a 59.005 in the Aston Martin. Just getting faster and faster. So either it's running out of fuel and it's getting lighter, or it is going and missing the brake markers because of the sun starting to get in the eyes a little bit. But Aldo Scribanti, when it gets dark, is absolutely amazing. Now, Ernest, I've got a question for you. It's going to start getting dark, and now you've got to start changing your strategy just ever so slightly to figure out it's getting darker, when you're going to pit. And now guys can't quite see which car's coming in until it's literally in pit lane. You can't guess it. So is that going to start changing strategies up a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. They're going to have to start changing strategies. And now we can see that is the new spec Porsche, because of the light bar running all the way across the back over there. Going to look fantastic at night as he tries to squeeze down the inside. Looks like there might have been a bit of a touch there. Chop Sepuka runs wide. Chop Sepuka runs wide there. A little bit of a touch there. Our cameraman pointing in the wrong direction, missing the action there. He'll have to get back on it. But Sepuka gets a bit of a touch there from the Porsche. And that was not the nicest of moves. Not the place you want to come together there at all. But no harm, no foul at this stage. Both cars still intact. But Latergan forcing his way past over there. And in second position But yeah, the nighttime is going to change so many things. Driving at night is so difficult. Some guys are better at it than others. I cannot believe some of these drivers able to maintain the pace that they are at night. I certainly can't do that. My eyesight's not what it used to be. So these drivers, some of them are able to go much faster. And we heard even Latekan talking earlier on that his teammate might be better during the nighttime. So we're going to have to wait and see who is the best at night. Of course, the ultimate equalizer is usually the wet, but certainly the nighttime has something to say about that. We're going to have to wait now until the sun sets at about 6:20. We've got about 35 minutes of racing left for this race, and then we go on to the next 3-hour, just a short half an hour stint after that. Of course, this race was supposed to be a total of 6 hours long, but the officials have elected, with the support of the drivers, to break it up into 2 3-hour races, of course, counting for points for each 3-hour stint. So sort of a double point situation happening here as they make their way around, and there you can see the standings on your screen over there, the detailed standings of exactly what's happening. Michael Stevens still leads us off. Lategan in second, Aranju's in third, Sapuka in fourth, and Pretorius all the way up in fifth place in a Class E car. Incredible there from Harm Pretorius and Baron Pretorius. Can't believe that. That 262 car is riding so well at the moment. Mario de Souza, though, will have something to say about that, but he is 4 laps down. Ben Morgenroot a further 3 laps down on them, with Franco and Van Niekerk in the Class D car in between them, betwixt them, as they say, in 7th position.
Well, just taking a look, 136 laps completed by our leader. Now, I'm going to ask a bit of a math question out there. How many kilometers is that? Now, try and not use a calculator. Ernest, I put that away. I can see you using a calculator.
Okay. How many laps did you say?
136 laps completed. The track is 2.4 kilometers long. How many kilometers have they done without using your calculator?
36 times 2 is 272. Times 0.4, 136.4 is about 60. So I would say about 300 kilometers.
326.4.
Yes.
So you passed math. Well done, mate.
I passed math just barely, FYI. So yeah, that's about as good as a guess as you're going to get from me today. As the guys continue to circulate, and there you can see Adcock all the way down. Oh no! Oh no! A big puff of smoke there from the Lamborghini. A massive puff of smoke from the Lamborghini. That, of course, is Charles Aranjis, and there's smoke coming out the back of that car. This is not good. Not good for Aranjis. He has to pull off the circuit there. Will this cause a safety car? Will this be oil on the circuit? We saw the same thing happening with them with the Audi a couple of races ago. Now, that Lamborghini giving up the ghost there. Aranjis staying off the racing line, pulls onto the grass there. Hopefully no oil coming onto the circuit, and this is not looking good. He scoops up sand there and continues to drive. I'm not sure he's going to try and make it around all the way, but that looks like a terminal failure from Aranjis there. Falls out of 3rd position in the Paget Racing Lamborghini, and that engine just said, no, it's time to go up in smoke, and in a cloud of smoke, decides to leave the building still. A little bit of a flame coming out the back there. Aranjis in the 86 car. Whew, not looking good.
Yeah, that's massive cloud of smoke that we saw. That's an engine saying, goodbye, my friend, I'll see you again. Hopefully they can get it sorted out, but as you pointed out, very terminal problem there. And you could just see all going well, revving it up to 7,800 RPM, and then bang, end of it. And unfortunately, very expensive cloud of smoke. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
wow.
That's a V10 cloud of smoke right there. A Lamborghini-shaped V10 cloud of smoke. Spitting out pieces of engine there, I'm sure. And the flames coming out the back of that center-mounted exhaust over there. Look at that. Wow, as we take a closer look. And bright red. Charles Aranjis, having not spent that much time in the car, finds himself now all of a sudden out of this race, at least for now. I don't think they're going to be able to get that fixed, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's something that they can fix. And that is still a replay. So the car is still parked, but he did stay off the racing line as one is supposed to, and then went onto the grass as soon as possible. Maybe hoping to make it all the way through, but he's got all his safety gear off, helmet's off, so I don't think anything else is going to be done. The tow rope is there, ready to hitch the front of that car. The Pageant Racing 86 Lamborghini could very well have seen the last of this circuit, at least going at speed. What a shame.
Well, just finding out a nickname for that Lamborghini is Frankenstein. It's a mix of parts. Aranji's is the importer for Project Brakes, and unfortunately it looks like Frankenstein has decided to give up the ghost, and hopefully they can put it back together. But oh man, my heart goes out to they were doing so well. But when an engine goes, you don't know when it's going to do it, how it's going to do it. But safety car is out. That bunches the field up. They are doing a little bit of cleaning up there. And I think while the safety car is out, with 28 minutes, it's going to be a race to the end for the likes of Chop Sabuka, Henrik Latifan. They're going to go after one another. But, oh man, Charles Aranji's in that Lamborghini. It's never nice seeing it, and if you're a mechanic or you know anything about engines, you could just feel it in your chest when that smoke came out.
Well, at the moment, it doesn't look like anybody is on the same lap, except perhaps for Bapu and Mackie Adlam, who are separated by 19 seconds in Class E. The rest of the guys have either 2 or 3 laps between them. Hein Latergan in Class A goes into the pits. Now would be the time to get that pit stop done. And Hein Latergan, they might have timed this perfectly to get that pit stop going now. But they still are 2 laps ahead of Chop Sapuka, who is 3 laps ahead of, the now retired Aranjis, who's a full 10 laps ahead of Harm Pretorius. So nobody is on the same lap except for Bapu and Mackie Adlam by the looks of our standings over here. So I do think that will be the race to watch now between Bapu and Mackie. But other than that, the rest of the guys aren't going to be too fussed. It will help them a little bit, get a little bit closer. But for the most part, once the flag drops again, they've got 25 or so minutes of racing then left to go, but still laps in between them and the rest of the pack. What a shame that we now have to have safety car conditions under these incredibly trying circumstances for that Aranjis and Neverland team.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't been their day at the moment. Hopefully they can get that car sorted out. Or maybe they actually pull out that Audi for one last hurrah for the next 3 hour. But it's definitely quite sore there. Now, this is where I wanna chuck in a little bit of a curveball to you. Ernest, you've been behind a safety car in your time. This is where it knocks you off focus. You start calming down, you start relaxing ever so slightly, and when the safety car goes away, to get your head back into the racing mindset is very, very difficult.
Oh, yes, indeed. You sometimes tend to... I'm not the best when it comes to safety cars. I haven't had that much experience with them. But I have been caught sleeping once behind a safety car and realizing, oh my goodness, we're going racing all of a sudden. So you do tend to sort of take a bit of a breather, take a bit of a reset here. And now is exactly the time to do that. But the safety car conditions where that happened to me was a weird one in Cape Town, where the lights were all around the circuit and there was no actual safety car that pulled in. The lights would go and then it's like a virtual safety car situation. So at any point, the race could commence. So at least now the drivers know that once they go past the start-finish line, that is where the race can commence. And in that situation there, they should and will, I'm sure, be ready for the action to continue. So safety car conditions at this stage as we head into the latter part of this race, the final part of this race and the final stages of this first part of the Spring Motorsport Festival. Bernard Bloom says, oh no, Charles, and holds his virtual hands over his eyes. Gecko says his phone died and there's only 30 minutes of the race left. Any chance of Mike getting the car going again? I don't think so, Bernard. As they go racing once more, the safety car has pulled in fact. And there goes the Aston Martin so fast And Gecko asked an interesting question. Will SAEs come to Desi at all this year? No, Gecko, we are done for the season except for one more round in Cape Town. But let's see what next year holds. Stay tuned, and hopefully we can see you at Desi Raceway at some stage, at least, or maybe one of the other rounds happening next year. The calendar is still very much provisional at this stage, but that calendar will be sorted out over the coming weeks and months, and then we will let you guys know exactly where the SAES circus will be heading to over the next couple of years. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to racing, and unfortunate turn of events for the Aranji's car over there. He's still fourth on the standings, but unfortunately at this stage out of the race in the pits with 133 laps completed. Chop Sapuka in third place, Heinrich Latachan in second, Michael Steven in first. But I think the car to talk about here is Harm Pretorius in fifth place and now about to go into fourth place overall in a Class E backdraft. That is just phenomenal stuff. The Class E boys making it happen today and putting down some frankly amazing lap times. Definitely one of the fastest in the backdrafts with a 108.6. Mackie Adlam and the guys with a 108.9, so they're right up there. Andrew Horn with a 108.7. So all these cars on the pace, but it really is about pace across a long, long time, isn't it, Steve? You've got to have that consistency over the entire distance of the race. And these guys have been doing 2 hours and 36 minutes of circulating around the short circuit so far. Look, that's a lot of time to be driving, man.
We've been saying it from the start, is endurance race is not about how fast you can go or who's in the front. It's about going and surviving, and whether the racing gods look at you and say, don't worry, you can get going. But I see one of the Ligiers, and I think that's Kruger Bothner's car. Yes, it is. It isn't bright. So they're going to look to get that car out and going once again. So we're going to have a Ligier rejoining in the last little bits of this race. But man, bit of contact. That's our Class E's, and that's Andrew Horn that came into contact.
And Baden Pretorius, there go. Oh my goodness, lots of action. There goes the Morgenrud car as well. And the 007 car parked on the side of the road. When did this happen? Oh my goodness me. Another backdraft has to go around the outside there. That is the 42 car going around the outside there. Oh my hat. When did all of this happen? I'd love to know from our producers when that took place. Mackie Adlam having to take evasive action. That was right now after turn one as the race started. So let's watch that again if we can. I'd love to know what exactly happened there. That was pandemonium going into the first corner there as our safety car once again goes around the circuit. What is going on now? We've got a car parked on the side, and the Colin Ellison car is on the side of the road. The Andrew Horn Colin Ellison car is on the side of the road. This is not good for them. They were looking so good. Let's watch the replay now. Let's see what happens. There comes your leader through the first corner. Here come the rest of the pack now. And the first of the cars about to become visible. And, they touch. Colin Ellison and Baden Pretorius collide. And this is not Colin Ellison. Andrew Horn, I apologize. Baden Pretorius runs wide. There comes Morgenrud now. There goes Sapuka. And then we see Mackie Adlam having to take evasive action. There goes the Class D Polo. Mackie Adlam takes evasive action. Morgenrud goes down. They get the 007 car going again. But eventually, the 007 car of Andrew Horn has to pull over. And now he's stranded on the side of the circuit with the safety vehicle by him. And that is not looking good. Harm Pretorius still leads us off. Ben Morgenrud now finds himself in second position again. Mackie Adlam finds himself in third place, and this has shaken things up extensively. Oh my goodness, how did Mackie Adlam get so far ahead all of a sudden? And he overtook Bapu, and geez, this just shows you anything can happen. We were talking about how these guys weren't on the same lap. There was so much of a gap between them, but all of a sudden now Ben Morgenrud under pressure from Mackie Adlam, who is now within striking distance of a second place finish. Harm Pretorius still leads us off in Class E though, with a full 7 seconds over Ben Morgenrud. Oh, I think this one's going to have to warrant a little bit of closer inspection by our officials. I'm sure we'll get the email later on.
I've actually gone back in the YouTube video looking at what happened between Pretorius and Andrew Horn, but Andrew Horn was facing the wrong way going into turn one. He was reversing it, into it. So something must have happened beforehand, and unfortunately he got stranded in the middle of the circuit trying to restart, which is the worst place you can be, because the guys are going left and right on you, and you're stuck. You're a sitting duck. But what could have gone on? He went backwards. I'm actually sending a message to the guys now to find out what's gone on with the car. Maybe something's broken. Maybe Kriya can go down and chat to the mechanic that's there. That's Malcolm, who's going to be doing all the hard work on that Colin Ellison and Andrew Horn 007 car. But that's a second safety car, and we have only got 19 minutes left of this race. I don't know about you, Ernest. I'm currently not sitting on my seat. I'm waiting to see what happens, because everything we thought was going to be is not. And no one is safe by the looks of it.
Well, Kriya is out on track at the moment. She's going to be getting us some trackside information. There you see Jeffrey Kruger back out on circuit. Not anywhere in the standings at the moment. He is in Class A, and there aren't that many cars in Class A, so they can still get third in Class A if they finish this race, but and get some points for themselves. But definitely Jeffrey Kruger just doing some reconnaissance, getting ready for the next 3 hours. But the rest of the pack slowly circulating around, and this has now shuffled things up big time. And I'm sure Diane wants to know what the heck is going on with these standings. So Diane, this one's for you. Michael Stevens still leads us off. Heinrich Rategan in Class A in second place. Michael Stevens, of course, in Class B. Class C, Chop Sapuka first in Class C. Charlotte Ranji's out of this race, but still in the classifications. Harry Victorious has to get past in the first of our Class E cars. And Rob Franco, currently the first in Class D. Ben Morgan second in Class E, and Bapu third in Class E, but he is going to get some immense pressure from Mackie Adlam, who's now back down again. So Mackie more than likely would have gone into the pits that time. So maybe a pit stop from Mackie Adlam, but Bapu going to be under immense pressure from Mackie Adlam very, very soon, who's got quite a bit of pace on him, and Ben Morgenroot's going to be feeling the same. Ben will be quite happy, though, to be back in second position, but Harm Pretorius, if nothing goes wrong there, they've got this one sewn up because they're 7 laps ahead of Ben Morgenroot in Class E.
Absolutely amazing. I can tell you the Pretorius pits must be happy at the moment, but the race day is not over. They're going to be surviving. Well, if they get to the checkered flag, they'll survive the first of our, they'll survive the first 3 hours. Now they've got to do the next, which is going to be heading into the night. But one thing I do want to talk about is our marshals, who have been hard at work today and also cheering on all the cars. This, where we actually were, that marshal right there was going and cheering on the car every single time. I've been watching him throughout the day, watching him throughout the weekend, and I've got to take my hats off to that. That is fantastic to see. And for everyone at home, if you can't get involved with motorsport because of the costing factor, go be a marshal. Go train as a marshal. Much needed. They're the blood of motorsport, and you learn quite a bit. Even for guys that are race drivers, go try marshalling. Go and learn from the stewards. You can do training and get involved in the background of racing. And there's lots and lots of bits and pieces you can learn, and you get to know the rules a little bit better. But hats off for everyone.
Well, not just marshalling, of course. There are plenty other roles and things that you can do at the circuit. You can steward, you can commentate, you can help run events, you can do all sorts of things like that. I was quite lucky to be involved with Killarney many, many years ago. And as someone that was part of their development program, I didn't just get to race cars, I also got to learn how the rest of the inner workings of the circuit work. So there's plenty that one can do. But let's look at these backdraft cars over here. The 42 car makes its way past. That's Mackie Adlam over there. Obviously one of the more experienced drivers on the circuit. You know what? You don't have to be an experienced driver to be able to do this kind of racing. These guys over here in backdraft, they are giving these cars, making these cars available, and the cost isn't that high. Don't quote me on this. The last we had is between 10 to 15K per race, and that means you get to drive these cars for a long, long time for a relatively low cost. Usually a normal race day is going to cost you 5,000 Rand or thereabouts just on getting the car there, entry fees and a whole bunch of other stuff. But these cars all in 10 to 15,000 for a incredibly long race day like this. Man, I think that's worth the money. And if you've got some sort of budget to get back in a car, maybe we see PK in one of those backdrops next year. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, there's Pretorius pulling into the pits, going and look like they're going for a cheap pit stop, going to be jacking up the car. Actually, just looking at that right front solely. So what on earth is going on there? I wonder if they just checking what the tire wear is, maybe the brakes, just doing a bit of work there. But absolutely, I have to agree with you. Bang for buck, these backdraft roadsters have been phenomenal. And I won't lie, the backdrafts are very, very interesting cars. I was very fortunate to drive a road-going version, but put together NKZN and beautifully crafted. It's fantastic. And we've seen lots of drivers go through it. We saw the likes of Mike Schmidt, who was driving a backdraft roadster at one point. Mike Schmidt, also known as Michael Bryan, the singer way back in the day. And he was racing it, also said it's a fantastic car for both advanced drivers and beginners to have a bit of fun, and puts everyone on the same level. So whether you the multinational champion, you're on the same line as a guy that's just gotten in and is learning the ropes. So absolutely fantastic. But that's never a good sign. Flatbed comes out for the 007 cart, not even getting towed, and it's getting pulled back to the pits on a flatbed. Something's gone on with that car, and all I can see is lots of hard work ahead.
Yeah, plenty hard work ahead for some of these teams. Speaking of working hard, I saw that GTR early on that was the safety car driven by Quinsley Sale from Q Garage. I didn't know that was him. I know he's one of the guys that's all up in the scene there in Port Elizabeth. So the previous safety car, we saw that GTR, which I quite enjoyed. That's the Q Garage GTR. That was the safety car for the SA GT race. Of course, Quinsley Sale doing plenty drifting and racing over the years, and also taking part in the hill climb with that incredible GTR. So it's nice to see old Quinsley Sale out on the circuit. Even though he's not racing, he is in that incredible Q Garage safety car. And we will look forward to seeing more of that car over the coming years when we're back in Port Elizabeth, I'm sure, next season for the next leg of the SA GT in Port Elizabeth. For now, though, we are done in PE, at least with SA GT, but we're not done with SAES, because after this race, we've got another 3-hour race ahead of us and still 12 minutes of racing to go here today. These guys are going to have a sprint to the finish. At the moment, though, it looks like the race between Mackie Adlam, Bapu, and Ben Morgenroot will be the race to watch, because those guys are separated by just 1 lap each. So, a race to the finish as we wait for the safety car to peel off. Let's try this again, says Michael Stephen. And off he goes into the distance once more. This time he's got the Ligier stuck behind him. Not for track position though, but still incredible pace demonstrated there by Jeffrey Kruger as they're going to turn 1. And here come the rest of the field now following on hurriedly. Still in the lead is Michael Stephen. He's got big pressure from that Ligier. But as mentioned, not racing for position. Maybe just going to let him go through, because the car is just so fast. Michael Stephen, however, does have the fastest lap of this race with a 59.0, and the Ligier only managing a 59.7. So maybe he's saying to himself, you know what, I'm just going to keep going into the distance and not even glance at those mirrors.
Well, I think there's a little bit to this, because Michael Stephen and Jeffrey Kruger have known each other in racing for quite some time, going back into karting, but they were also former teammates for the Passion and Speed many years ago in a Chevron V8, the ex-Henny G car. So now I think it's a little bit of renewed rivalry, even though it's not for position. It's bragging rights now of, I'm going to get past you.
So there he goes, past his ex-teammate. Very tight line over there, almost running a little bit wide there. Car is pushing hard, is Jeffrey Kruger. And just doing a 1 minute dead over there. So they're probably just testing the car out to see if it's going to be ready for the next race. But let's watch that Class E battle. Harm Pretorius finds himself in 4th place, unbelievably. Franco and Van Niekerk team find themselves now going to 5th position in Class D, 5th overall, first in Class D. Ben Morgenroot in 2nd in Class E, followed by Bapu, who will be soon facing a massive threat from Mackie Adlam, I'm sure. So that will be the race to watch. Bapu trying to hold off Mackie Adlam for that final position on the podium. Jeffrey Kruger sets the fastest lap of the race with a 58.45. So 58.4, the fastest lap of this race so far with Jeffrey Kruger. So clearly they fixed that car, and clearly that car has the pace to match. Will it be able to do something in the following 3 hours?
Well, remember, this is also going to dictate the positioning for the next 3-hour stint that's going to be coming up. But as you said, Jeffrey Kruger going and showing the car is back together, all sorted. You know, what's the best way to make sure a car is not broken? Well, wring the neck of it and hope it doesn't explode. And at this point, he's trying to climb out of that 13th spot, but 37 laps down, it's going to be, it's not going to happen at all. But I think what the Jeffrey Kruger and Rian Bothma in that leisure, what they're doing is they're showing that they're not afraid and they're going to take the fight come the next 3 hour, a little bit later on. And going into the night, we've seen the Ligiers being rather potent as the track cools down.
Yeah, the Ligier is definitely a potent car, and a potent combination of car and driver with Jeffrey Kruger, who now once again sets another fastest lap with a 58.3. So Jeffrey Kruger is a man on a mission trying to get the fastest lap of the year. Oh my goodness, he's pushing so hard, and this more than likely a test session for them now to try and see if that car has got the pace that they suspect that it should have had all along. And Ben Morgenroot just crosses the line there, a couple of laps behind Harm Pretorius, who is 5 laps ahead. So looks like that win is on the cards for Harm Pretorius, definitely. Ben Morgenroot quite 2 laps ahead of Bapu, but Bapu now and Mackie Adlam on the same lap, the gap a minute now to go with 7 minutes remaining. So Mackie Adlam has to claw back 1 minute in 7 minutes, and let's see if he can do that. I think that's the race to watch now, ladies and gentlemen. That is the race to watch, Bapu and Mackie Adlam.
I just want to point out, you know that our GT3s, like Silvio Scribanti, was doing 58 during his race, okay, with a V10, a Lamborghini. This Ligier is definitely not a V10. It definitely hasn't got the same amount of horsepower.
I don't even think it's a V5. It's got less than half the cylinders.
It's 255 horsepower, but if you want to know what power to weight ratio can do, a Lamborghini GT3 Huracan doing 58 race pace, qualifying pace was 57. Now you have got this Ligier 255 horsepower, but only weighs 570 kilos, doing the same times as a GT3 is amazing. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder motor. Its motor is literally a Honda S2000 that's been modified, and it's putting in GT3 lap times here at Aldo Scribanti. That's just mind-boggling. Just to point out.
I've got to correct you there. I don't think it's an S2000 engine. You know how Honda anoraks are, right? Because the S2000 engine is, of course, the F20C engine, and the engine that they're running over there is the K20. It doesn't really matter, but you know how Honda fans are, so we've got to get that right.
As long as the VTEC kicks in.
As long as VTEC kicks in, yo. And at the moment, VTEC certainly is kicking in for Jeffrey Kruger, constantly lapping in the 1 minute now, but the best time of 58.3. And there goes Bapu. There goes Bapu getting overtaken by Chop Sapuka. Mackie Adlam crossing the line. The gap now down to 31 seconds. So Bapu now with only 30 seconds in hand. He's very slow at the moment. So Bapu does look like he could get caught up within the next 2 laps. He's going to have to drop the hammer. Come on, Bapu, you got to go faster than that. Mackie Adlam chasing him down with just 31 seconds to go. Bapu circulating very slowly. I'm sure his team's going to be telling him, come on, Bapu, let's pick up the pace. We've got to go much faster than this.
It's going to be a nail biter to the end. and it's all on the line now. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. I don't know who's going to get this. It's going to be very, very close in the closing stages of this race, and it's going to be right down until the checkered flag comes out.
Yeah, I don't think, well, Bapu's just crossed the line. Jeffrey Kruger sets another fastest lap time of 58.284. So Jeffrey Kruger still playing time attack out there, trying to go as fast as he can. Mackie Adlam about to cross the line. Let's see how he does. And Mackie Adlam now the gap down to 23 seconds. So a full 7 seconds a lap is what he's doing over Bapu Rubulutsa. And Bapu now will have to keep pushing. I don't think he's going to be able to hold him off. Mackie is about to snatch that podium position from Bapu over there. The blue flag is waving for some of the drivers over there. But this is Chop Sapuka, third overall at the moment, first in Class C. Quite a distance behind Hein Lateghan, about a lap and a half. So Hein Lateghan comfortably in second position over there. And Jeffrey Kruger once again, 58.284. So he is knocking that pace down lap after lap after lap, trying to go as fast as possible. Michael Stevens still leads us off, uneventfully so, in the front with 4 laps in hand. Heinrich Lateghan in second position with just 3 minutes to go. Chop Sapuka in third, about 1.5 laps down. That's the man on your screen right now. Harim Pretorius gets 4th place in Class in overall and first in Class E. And just behind him is the Class D car, Franco. And Van Niekerk first in Class D. Mackie Adams sets his fastest lap, and he is now 15 seconds behind Bapu. And Bapu is having to pick up the pace here, not able to do anything about it at this stage. I think we need to get eyes on Bapu just to make sure we get that closing stages of that battle on track. The only track battle happening at this stage in the closing stages of the race, as Heinrich Lateghan crossed the line there with a time of 1:05. He slowed it down completely. No need to go much faster now, but someone that does need to go faster is Bapu Rubulutsa. Mario De Souza crosses the line now, also quite slowly, just coasting through. Someone that isn't going slow even now is Jeffrey Kruger, still lapping at the 58.3 second pace. So these guys, some of the guys are pushing, some of the guys are not. But I'd love to get eyes on Mackie Adlam in that 42 car or Bapu in that 11 car, because we are about to see an overtake for position in Class E happen in the closing stages of this race.
Mackie Adlam, the reigning Mobile 1 V8 champion, now looking to try, and there's only one way of saying it, steal the position away from Bapu. And you can be sure Bapu's team are leaning over the pit wall, waving, saying go and go. The comms must be going insane, saying, listen, you have to put 8 seconds down to it. And Bapu is going to start feeling the pressure. He's going to start seeing Mackie come behind him. And we know Mackie Adlam is not afraid to bare his teeth if he wants a position. And he's going to go for it.
Oh, yes. I mean, come on. If you've got a multiple champion heading up behind you, there looks like there goes Bapu, there goes Mackie Adlam. Mackie Adlam in the 42 car just on your screen now. Let's hope our producers can follow that car. And he's got one car in between him and Bapu, and this is for position. There goes the Porsche of Hein Lateghan. They're about to come across the line of these two cars, and there is Bapu now limping his way around. Mackie Adlam's going to go past. That's Morgenrud car unlapping themselves over there. And Morgenrud currently in second place in Class E, and there goes the 42 car snatching third place. That is second and third place. They are not on the same laps though. So Mackie Adlam snatches away third place from Bapu. Unfortunately for Bapu, not able to hold of Mackie Adlam, and a minute to go. Mackie Adlam sneaks into third position, takes the position, the first time here at the South African Endurance Series in that backdrops roadster, and gets the position. He's going to be so happy. He's still pushing hard and still racing Ben Morgenrud over there. Both of them with V8 experience, both of them with championships under their belts, and now he's going to seemingly get closer and get the overtake on Morgenrud. He goes down the inside, they break late for the hairpin, gets the position, unlaps himself. It's not going to be enough though. He is still 2 laps down on the senior Ben Morgan over there. But will he? Yes, he does. Gets that third position, secures third position on the podium in Class E. A fantastic performance from Mackie Adlam. And let's not forget his teammate, who was driving the wheels off that car early on in the lead at one stage in that class. And Mackie Adam will be getting the cheers of his team across the finish line. And this will be the last lap for everybody now as Michael Stephen starts to make his way around. If we can get eyes back on Michael Stephen, our leader, who will shortly be coming across the finish line for the very last time as we complete the 3 hours, the first of two in the Port Elizabeth 3-hour race for the South African Endurance Series.
I'm just taking a look. Ben Morgenrood's not letting Mackie Adlam go. That rivalry from the Mobile 1 V8s has been restarted here at the SAES, and you could just see the way they weren't letting each other by. They were racing hard, and I can't wait to see it later because Mackie Adlam is going to talk to Ben Morgenrood and say, listen, I can pass you. I'm going to come for you. And Ben Morgenrood, former V8 champion, now going to take on the current V8 champion. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. But there we go, checkered flag has come out, and Michael Stephen taking first place. Captain Martin. What can I say?
Wow.
A race shake, not stir.
What a drive from Michael Stephen. That car's number should have been 007, as you say. Cool, calm, and collected. Michael Stephen with a solid performance. And lest we forget his teammate as well, who also put in an incredible performance, Hill. They started on the second row of the grid and made their way through to the front. An incredible performance in an incredibly reliable machine. Michael Stephen, the PE local, takes the win and first in Class B. And in second position, Heinrich Latergan first in Class A. And very happy to be ahead of Chop Sepuka, I'm sure, who comes in first in Class C. Harm Pretorius first in Class E. And Franco partnered with Van Niekerk first in Class D. Wow. Wow, what a race. And it's not over yet, folks. We've still got another race after this one where all of these drivers will once again go at it. And I can't believe these cars are lasting and doing so well, Steve. We've got quite a few cars that have made their way to the finish line, including Jeffrey Kruger, who's managed to get that car to the end of the race.
Just to cross the line and it counts as a finisher is the achievement that you can have in the SAES. It's not an easy thing to do. We've got one more 3 hour and I don't think my nerves can take it anymore. It's been chaotic. I'm actually just trying to get hold of the guys of Colin Ellison and Andrew Horn to find out what exactly has gone on with that car. I know Kriya is going to be frantically running around trying to get information as well. It's not over. It's not over, and we're going to do a night race for the SAES here at Aldo Scribanti. And we've seen thrills and spills today, and it's just continuing. I don't know, and I'm not even blowing this out of proportion, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot tell you how the end of the race is going to look like because whatever we thought throughout the day changed from the SAGT right into the SAES. And Ernest, I hope you've got lots of bottles of water because we're going to be going and trying to soothe our throats after this one.
Well, I had a double espresso coffee earlier on, and I tell you what, that made me so wired. I'm not much of I don't do energy drinks or any of those things, so I lean on that natural energy coming from within. But I must admit, halfway through, I was fatigued a little bit, but that coffee put me over the finish line, so I'm ready for another 3 hours. Let's do this. And looking through the comments here, Gecko ADZ says, will the race also be streamed? Yes, the next race will be streamed, Gecko. He says working on race cars while watching race cars. He loves it. Well, folks, just going through the rest of the comments here, Gecko says that the channel is for kids channel. We need to look into that. So our producers and our tech team will look into the channel, make sure it's not set up for kids. And Bernard Bloom says it would be nice to have this type of racing at Swartkorps Raceway. Bernard, I agree. Swartkorps such a tight, challenging circuit. It would be quite incredible to see this type of racing there. Maybe next season, who knows? Stay tuned, folks. Any closing words from you, Steve, until we're back again in about half an hour?
Grab some popcorn. You're going to need it. This is going to be amazing. And I've got a few phone calls to make.
Yeah, Steve, I look forward to getting the inside scoop from you. Of course, you know quite a few of these drivers, so I'm quite interested to hear what those drivers have to say. So, Steve, if you can get us that inside scoop, that would be fantastic. And I'm trying to see, are those some of the Cape Town Killarney marshals over there on the start line? I wonder, some of them look familiar. But anyways, folks, that's it from us here at Port Elizabeth. And of course, the 3 hours, the first of 2 races. We'll be back in 30 minutes for the next race. So don't go anywhere. The race will be streamed on Facebook and YouTube. And you can catch the rest of the action here at live on the SAES channel. Of course, this is the Spring Motorsport Festival. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Stephen Koenig in the booth and Kriya Gang here on the ground. We'll see you guys in the next 30 minutes or so. Don't go anywhere. The racing continues here.